Given how the bong is on, BB's on, and M is drawing NASA in MS Paint. Clearly, we should all be watching M draw NASA. But the news waits for no one. Oh god, there's so much fucking retardation. Okay. Thankfully now I have my news list a little more organized by source. So I got first up Bounding into Comics, Black Park Place, then Zero Hedge, and then with stragglers afterwards. So, Bounding into Comics, we have Final Fantasy Tactics direct response to Western localization discourse surrounding Unicorn Overlord. Is it unacceptable for someone to alter a work without considering the original author's intent? So, unfortunately, the director is being the bigger man in this. Shocking. In that it got spelled out to him of the localizers, read not translators, localizers, kind of fucking around with the original intent of the script uh, for his game and stuff. So it got pointed out to him, and he's being very diplomatic and saying that he's disappointed that he wasn't consulted for any of these changes and stuff, and the original creator should have the final say on this here shit and stuff. But he doesn't go far enough to call him a bunch of twats, as I would. This fellow here, kind of pointing it out, really. This reeks of localizers who think themselves better writers than the original Japanese authors. This is the source of many localizations problems. And going over the receipts and, side by side comparisons of everything. Like, all the links are in Discord. You can look them up yourselves for each individual breakdown. But it's all the usual same shit that we've seen a million times at this point. But the main crux to take away from this article is that as slow as it is, they are in fact becoming aware of this shit, and I'll take what I can get for them to realizing, you guys aren't being honorable Westerners. Maybe we take katana folded 1,000 times and cut your cut your contract a little short, but one can hope. More examples, more examples. I remember there being a really good line in this. Okay, yeah, so here's where he really pipes in. This is my personal opinion, but may I share it with you, said Matsuno. I believe that it is unacceptable for someone to alter a work without considering the original author's intent. However, when the market or language is different, a direct translation may not convey the intended meaning accurately. This is especially true for humor, therefore, I think some degree of alteration is unavoidable. This is him being nice. The time for him being nice has long since passed, but, I'm going to let him have it. The issue lies in whether the original author has consented to these alterations. In this case, he didn't. Has anyone confirmed whether the author of Unicorn Overlord has approved its English translation? He then proposed, in any case, I think both arguments have merit, translating faithfully to the original and allowing some degree of adaptation. I encourage discussion on this matter as I do not intend to take sides. Again, the balls in this guy. However, if the original author approves, I believe this should be respected. That's all. And there it is, this entirety. But of course, I, along with some others, say like, okay, you're being nice and all, but they're doing this maliciously, with a purpose. This isn't like a whoopsie doopsie kind of thing and stuff. And it's conveying that there. Like, for example, he further goes on to say, I'm aware that this is the case. It's very unfortunate, especially for languages other than English, such as French or German. We have no choice but to trust the evaluations of translators and local sales companies. In that sense, I think it's entirely reasonable for everyone to demand translations that adhere to original work. Translations that deviate from the original work in a negative sense are out of the question. So at least this guy has lines. On the other hand, as long as there is no deviation, I also believe that some degree of adaptation is unavoidable. Translating the nuances of Japanese into English is already quite challenging, and it's not as simple as doing a literal translation. To be fair, this is true. There are also budget and schedule constraints to consider. While I think having a perfect translation would be best, I also understand it's not always feasible. This is always a difficult issue for sales companies and development teams. This is just my personal opinion, but I hope you find it helpful. Exuding Giga Chad professional energy, unlike some of these twats in question. Further going on to say, the source of my quote may have been misleading. That might have been a mistake. Anyway, I'm interested in what players think best. While I believe that significant alterations that ignore the original work's intent are nonsensical, where's the line for fidelity? Answer: the argument that translations should be faithful to the original work no matter what. And B, the argument that freedom in translation is acceptable. Is there no middle ground between A and B? Not these days, son. I'm curious to see what your discussions will lead. Thank you. So, on one hand, I wish you would go further, but it's his prerogative to be nice about it. And you know what? Props to that. Okay. Time to get my blood boiling. Dungeons and Dragons senior game designer disavows how series was made by white dudes, boasts that much of the original material would never pass our inclusivity reviews today. Fuck off. God damn. In delivering what is perhaps one of the most self-aggrandizing virtue signals in recent history, current Dungeons & Dragons senior games designer, aka the head honcho for D&D right now, Jason Tondro, has taken to proudly touting the fact that much of the series' original materials, which he condescendingly writes off thanks to having been made by white dudes, would never pass our inclusivity reviews today. Tondo offers his take on the current state of popular tabletop RPG franchise while speaking with official D&D content creator Todd Kenrick in promoting Wizards of the Coast's upcoming series-centric history book Dungeons & Dragons Making of Original D&D 1970 to 1977. I watched this video and I wanted to pull my hair out, so I'm not going to subject you guys to that there, but it's largely what it comes down to is that they are literally taking the stance of like, it was a different time by straight white men, and this shit would not fly in our perfect society nowadays and stuff, and the usual bullshit. And the thing that really gets my gears grinding is these motherfuckers wouldn't have a goddamn job if it wasn't for these giants whose shoulders they're just clambering on top of. Fucking cunts. Following a lengthy summary of the book's contents, as well as his own history and the franchise, Toronto eventually met with observations from Kenrick that it's important to note that this is a historical document, so there are things in here. It was a different time. Get me my fainting chair. It was a different time. Oh, those patriarchal white men. Oh. So we've had an inclusivity review of all these materials, to which enthusiastic replied, multiple. So let's take a step back. Let's clarify. These are materials, the original Dungeons & Dragons. They would never pass our inclusivity review today. Some of you can understand designer proceeds to argue, like, okay, they're a bunch of war gamers, and they're using armies from history, so when they create a warrior class for D&D, they call it a fighting man, the original name for fighter class. Because that's what they were used to. They were all men. Filthy, disgusting, evil men. They were all white dudes from Lake Geneva and the Twin Cities. Yes. And they were great. Unlike you fucking cunt. Yes, you read that right. Tondro just dismissed the D&D creators Gary Gygax and Dave Aronson as nothing more than ignorant white dudes. They wear the hatred on their sleeve. These fucking cunts. Following the insult, he continues, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of material in this book. I won't go over all of it, but it would not pass our inclusivity review today. We couldn't change it. It's history. What we can acknowledge is show us how far we've come, because that's not D&D anymore. Yes, you killed D&D a long-ass time ago. And here's the fun thing. It's like, Hasbro is looking to spin off your brand because you aren't making any fucking money. You know who's making money for Hasbro these days? Magic the Gathering. And you know what? Sales are down for those guys too. Hey, if there was only an expression that summed up all these fucking idiots, let's see. If memory serves, it's go woke, go broke until they croak. Turning his virtue signal up to max brightness, Tundra further assured Kendrick, I'm reading this one in its entirety because it just fucking pisses me off way too much. D&D gets more diverse and has a larger audience every day. The more diverse the game becomes, the more people, different genders and ethnic backgrounds and faiths. But you're a bunch of filthy fucking godless commies. You have no faith. You have to make your own religion, fuckers. See themselves in the game. Then they go make their own versions of the game. Yes, because you fucking won't. And more players start to see themselves represented in the game. The more diverse the creator get, the more diverse the players become, and that's the way it should be. Yes, and of course, by diversifying, means we're going to make our own shit and not spend money on your shit, and you're going to go fucking broke, asshole. So this book is very interesting. So I think it really highlights how far the audience has come and how the game has changed over 50 years. He concluded how it's played, who plays it, and how it's created. In many ways, the way it's created is part of change at least. Because a huge driver in the early D&D was fan creations, and that's still true today. Yes, and you motherfuckers will change the open game license, or at least try to, until you get fucking caught. And saying that all created content using our systems becomes our property. Fuck off. You goddamn cunts. Hilariously, the last declaration from Tundra actually proves as a counter to everything he said above. As to his point, D&D never barred anyone from any identity from being represented in the game specifically because its entire existence is based on the fact that players create their characters and adventures as they see fit. Read Rule 0. What happens at your table is how you want to run it, asshole. Fuck off. As with all the other such declarations, the tabletop RPGs were never inclusive, while some individual dungeon masters and story settings may implement some limits on character creation in order to help boost players' immersion in specific campaigns, and plus some shit is just straight broken, so you're not going to play at my table. There has never been any official rule in D&D barring players from assigning whatever traits they want their completely custom characters. Further, it should be noted that it's not just Andre's interview with Kendrick. This saw an official D&D source feign such precaution towards the inclusion of the game's original content in the making of the original Dungeons & Dragons. What follows this book official description, wherein 3 sentences are dedicated to describing its actual contents, while full 6 are used to performatively and excessively assure readers that D&D parent company Wizards of the Coast, fuck, I hate Wizards of the Coast so fucking much, in no way, shape, or form endorses the problematic subject matter contained within. Let us begin. Here is the ultimate record of how Dungeons & Dragons came to be. The making of original D&D is an extraordinary collection of rare documents that shed light on D&D's origin story, uncovered materials never released to the public, including Gary Gygax's first draft of the original D&D, and early published writings such as the 1974 original D&D white box booklets and supplements. Each document is featured alongside insightful commentary from one of the game's foremost historians, John Peterson. Disclaimer. Here's the fun part. We, Wizards, aka Cucks, recognize that some legacy content in this product does not reflect the values of Dungeons & Dragons franchise today. Some older content may reflect ethnic, racial, and gender prejudices that were commonplace in the American society at the time. These depictions were wrong then and are wrong today. This content is presented as it was originally created because to do so otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never existed. Oh, how noble of you. Dungeons & Dragons teaches that diversity is a strength, and we strive to make our D&D products as welcoming and inclusive as possible, as long as you're not straight white men. And this part will never end. Fucking cunts. Oh. I can't wait. Wizards of the Coast is just circling the drain right now. And the funny thing is, they're the only segment of the Hasbro's portfolio that's actually making money these days. And even then, they're themselves aren't doing that great. Oh, I can't wait until it goes down and Rudy just buys everything up. Finally. Rumors. Sony reportedly. Okay, I covered this here chick before, and this is like a follow up. So, rumors. Sony reportedly furious with Madam Web star Dakota Johnson for repeatedly disparaging the film during promotional tour. I like her if for no other reason than that she's like, oh fuck, what's Edward's name? Like the dude who played Edward in the Twilight series. He this it was just a paycheck for him, so he didn't really give a shit when it came to promoting the movies and stuff. He really didn't give a fuck, and I respect him for that. And this chick is kind of the same deal. It's only been a few weeks since Hollywood insiders are trying to ease rumors of tensions between Sony Pictures and star Madam Web. Dakota Johnson, damage control can only go so far. However, there are rumblings on social media that Johnson had been very unhappy with the creative direction of Madam Web from the second she signed on to the project. The rumors got hotter when Johnson went on her promotional tour, or lack thereof, if we're being honest, for the film and rarely had anything positive to say about it. I haven't seen the movie, the actress said during the interview with Magic Radio. I probably won't. I don't know when I'll see it someday. she, this is pretty much the outlook I would have if I had to deal with a piece of shit like that. It's like, hey, am I on contract to actually to say good things about it? No, okay, then fuck off. In the interview with the Rab, Johnson disclosed that the Madam Web, which moviegoers ultimately tore apart, was far removed from the original from the one originally pitched to her. There were drastic changes, and I can't even tell you what they were, Johnson said at the time. The actress further fed the rumor mill when she disparaged the film on Saturday Night Live. I have a new movie coming out, Johnson Professor, in her opening monologue. It's called Madam Web. It's in the Marvel Universe and also stars Sydney Sweeney, so it's kind of like AI generated your boyfriend's perfect movie. Ringing endorsement there. According to the information collected by numbers, Madam Web grossed $96 million at the box office with a production budget of $80 million. And keep in mind that it needs to double its production budget in order to make profit, because for those who don't know, when it comes to movie production, the marketing budget is way above everything else, and they never report on that there. So you have to make like 2 or 3 times what your production is just to break even because of the marketing budget. And with them kind of just quote unquote breaking even, really, that means they're under what they've spent in totality of the movie. So, it flopped is what I'm getting at. Blah, 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 blah. So, most of these comments I covered in the previous time I talked about her and stuff. And she, apparently she has her own production company that's got started and stuff. So I wish her the best and look forward to anything she actually does, because she seems to know what she's on about. So there's that. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Let's see. Got BB32. I'm sitting 33. Bong's still going. Oh my god, he's still going. At 62. You guys have clearly chosen the better stream. Ooh, 63. Not 63. 36. Dyslexic and numbers. Okay, where is I, Madam Web? Oh yeah. It's time for first of many Sweet Baby Incorporated articles. Ex-Sweet Baby Incorporated employee and current EA's Marvel's Black Panther narrative designer seen proudly bragging the previous title, Validate, had no white people on dev team. We mentioned this previously, and looks like she refuses to shut her fucking yap, and has had more to say in the intervening time since we last saw her. I just love this opening sentence. Remember, kids, blatant and open discrimination based on skin color is A-OK, so long as you do it under the auspices of being progressive. Hello, Pipgoon. I've added that. Yes, I know. Can't remember if it was the firms or... I don't know. I can't remember either. Oh, yes, it was definitely bad. Let's see. For example, in this phenomenon, look no further than the fact that Danny Leondis, an associate narrative designer for EA Subsidy and current Marvel's Black Panther developer Cliffhanger Games, once openly and proudly bragged that she was specifically and actively avoiding hiring white individuals to work on her previous indie title, Validate, out of fear that the mere presence would create an unsafe work environment for his dev team non-white members. It's all come rushing back to me. The whole Validate thing. Oh, fuck, that was so bad. Actually, I do think they have some pictures of the art, too, in this article, if I remember right. or if Archive saved it. Yes, they do. Oh my god. Okay, you guys can see how bad this is. The very definition of video game developed by Tumblr. Oh god. Validate struggling singles in your area's visual novel / dating sim, wherein players are tasked with not only choosing who to date among the veritable united colors, Benetton, and not only Zero Hedge, you guys do, and of the most stereotypically diverse characters one can imagine, but also choosing whether or not to enable each character's awful behavior and leave a trail of broken hearts behind them, or to help them along the path of self-betterment with mixtapes, poetry, cosplay thrown into the mix. Validate presents a smorgasbord of relationships to bear witness to, reads the game's official synopsis, but the dating scene is difficult even when you aren't marginalized in 6 different ways, oh fuck off. So happiness continues to fly just out of reach for these unlucky lovers. It couldn't happen because they are a bunch of fucking ugly goddamn pieces of shit. They got flags too. Given the game's subject matter, it may come no surprise to learn this 21-member dev team apparently features 0 white individuals. Color me surprised. However, what is eyebrow-raising is the fact that it was not a merit-based hiring coincidence, nor the result of white individuals choosing not to apply to the dev team, but rather founders' specific instruction not to hire them at all. And there's a video of her being proudly saying it. Speaking in reflection of validates development while hosting a talk titled 1 Year in the Industry at the 2021 Game Devs of Color. Oh my god, I forgot this was even a thing. The Game Devs of Color Expo. Founders admitted to that the visual novel has a team of mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment, and I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. You know who also said that? Literal goddamn Nazis. You fucking cunt. And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments. That's exactly what you're implying, you fucking cunt. She continued, I'm not saying that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that sometimes it is hard to work with white people because they think that something may be okay, but it was really a microaggression. Oh, fuck off. And no one wants to deal with that when they are trying to make a game that they love. Oh, fuck you, you gay bulldyke. Of course, it's not to say that Landers has since changed her blatantly racist opinions. Of course, fucking not. In response to the ongoing discourse surrounding Sweet Baby Incorporated, which is what we were getting into, who she previously worked for between 2022 and 2023, the dev asserted towards the consultation company's critics, I just stopped taking y'all seriously when y'all start running around saying white people can experience, we covered this before, experience racism because I did not suffer through 2020 for y'all to act like you weren't an ally to BLM 4 years later. As noted above, Leander is currently employed as an associate narrative designer for Cliffhanger Games, the same dev studio currently hard at work at EA's Marvel's Black Panther title, and we all know that's going to go over like a lead balloon. To this end, given that the game is still in early development, just how much hand Leanders will have in its overall narrative remains to be seen. I'm not going to hold my breath of it being a tour de force. Park Place. Okay, so this is one part of kind of an overarching series of articles I'm going to be kind of more focusing on this stream, in that you may not care about politics, but politics cares about you, which is kind of the overarching theme of my channel, if we're being honest. U.S. government-funded organization Take This encourages game developers to denounce gamers who are being harassed by Sweet Baby Incorporated. I'm going to repeat that because it's very important. The United States government is funding an organization known as Take This to encourage game developers to denounce gamers who are being harassed by Sweet Baby Incorporated. Okay? The federal government is having a say in Gamergate 2. Sargon has a hard-on, and he doesn't know why. The organized harassment and cancel campaign against video gamers by Sweet Baby Incorporated has taken a dark turn as the U.S. government-funded organization Take This has called on game developers to attack their own customers for standing up to harassment. Where have we seen this before? There's a reason why. I was one of the early fuckers to call this Gamergate 2. I have a feeling in the long term this is gonna be more a Gamergate 2 on crack, because this time there is literal government involvement in this one. Donald Trump may not be tweeting about it, but by golly, some glow in the dark CIA niggers are actually paying attention to shit. Take This, which is run by Dr. Rachel Rachel Coward, instructs the game developers to denounce gamers for defending themselves from Sweet Baby Incorporated. First, the organization's blog post states, if you're reading this, you're probably been hearing about what's being called Gamergate 2. It is the latest targeted harassment campaign within the game industry and is aimed at Sweet Baby Incorporated, a Montreal-based narrative development studio. This is not a right lie. It is Sweet Baby Incorporated that is running the targeted harassment campaign. See, this is called projection. You say that your opponents are doing what you are actually doing. A tale as old as time. Someone here clearly has read Alinsky's Rule for Radicals. Employees Chris Kindred and Maya Kramer launched their harassment campaign at the end of February following Brazilian gamer Cabrutas Rambo creating a Steam curator list listing off all the games the Sweet Baby Incorporated worked on that are available on Steam and not recommending them. Kindred made it clear that she and Sweet Baby Incorporated wanted the Steam curator list shut down as well as Cabrutas Rambo's entire account removed. Kindred posted on X, the Steam Creator Harassment Group, again, production, Sweet Baby Inc. Detected is led by this person, Cabrutas Rambo. Here's them trying to be slick so they don't get reported. Even with discriminatory language filed off, the group itself still fails the code of conduct. And this is kind of rehashing shit we've covered so far. Blah, 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 blah. Went over this before. Really, that's really all that there should get you caught up to where we're at right now. The game development conference, we went over that before. Okay, so again, back to new stuff. Despite this overwhelming evidence, the Sweet Baby Incorporated is the one leading the harassment campaign is trying to steal Cabrutas Rambo's game by having his Steam account shut down. Take This instructs the video game developers, you may be inclined to be quiet or cautious, but that's actually not helpful, as noted in our resource Empowering the Game Industry. A major lesson learned from Gamergate is the importance of taking a loud public stance. Yes, and the many companies that died from it. Yes, be loud, be proud, make sure we are informed gamers, and where not to spend our money. That's the upside of this. and they're wondering why they're getting layoffs. The organization continues. At this time, many studios were hesitant to address the hate and abuse from Gamergate in any meaningful way. The reasons varied, but usually the hesitation was born out of fear of losing profits or concern that taking a stance would attract the attention of the Gamergate mob. And it asserts, in other words, failure to clearly and unequivocally, some words, the French just comes out of me, denounce Gamergate and harassment abuse done in the name of create a safe, I was that for a slip there, create a space for that hate and abuse to flourish, spread, and become normalized. Hate, harassment, and toxic behavior have no place in games. Taking a direct, targeted action in a timely manner, we can mitigate further harm to the talented, dedicated folk in games and help prevent additional recurrences of these harmful events. The post concludes. This is called protection. I agree. See? It's like, me. It's like me and this journalist. We're on the same wavelength. This is called protection. They are accusing the victim of what they are actually doing in order to position themselves as a victim. This is clearly done not only garnish support for their own cause, but to use it as a bludgeon to attack their opponents and to do actual financial harm to them, in this case through the theft of Cabrutas Rambo's games. Interestingly, Take This is funded by the U.S. government. Here's the fun part. The Department of Homeland Security announced the organization will receive a split of nearly $700,000 in grant money for the department's targeted violence and prevention capabilities. Specifically, the Department of Homeland Security shared that the organization will receive the grant money as part of the Middlebury Center on Terrorism, Extremism, Counterterrorism to raise societal awareness, provide media literacy and online critical thinking initiatives, and to do civic engagement. AKA, this is the the Ministry of Thought. They tried to pull that bullshit officially, and then they had to slip it under the table when they got called out on it and stuff. And so instead of having just one unified body organization and stuff, this is like what they've done with like the social media and stuff. It's like since the government can't do it, they've kind of offloaded their responsibility to third parties, so they can claim plausible deniability is like, oh, the government's not actually doing that. Is these here little private organizations, even though they're receiving, government funds. It's like, like the cocksuckers that they are. The description of the Department of Homeland Security's website states, over the past decade, video games have increasingly become focal points of social activity and identity creation for adolescents and young adults. Relationships made and fostered within game ecosystems routinely cross over into the real world and are impactful parts of the local communities. Correspondingly, extremists have used video games and targeted video game communities for activities ranging from propaganda creation to terrorist mobilization and training. Game developers in general, from small independent studios to billion-dollar multinational corporations, have lagged in awareness of how extremists may attempt to exploit their games and how their communities can be targeted for radicalization. We're going to totally ignore the majority of social media, so Facebook and them gets a pass. And then it reveals, take this as well as logically were beneficiaries of the $700,000 grant. This joint project from the Center on Terrorism, Extremism, Counterterrorism, take this, and logically seeks to develop a shared framework for understanding extremism in games. This includes development of a set of best practices and centralized resources for monitoring, evaluation of extremist activities, as well as a series of training workshops for monitoring, detection, prevention of extremist exploitation in game spaces for community managers, multiplayer designers, lore developers, mechanical designers, and trust and safety professionals. Where does this sound familiar? Not only is the organization funded by the federal government, but according to Ars Technica's Ashley Belanger-Cart, created the organization after encountering a 2019 nationally representative survey from the ADL, from the Anti-Defamation League. Those little cunts who kind of want to say like, oh, all these are hate groups, give us money. Those guys who really came out swinging back in the original Gamergate of saying those, Nazi gamers, those guys. It found that nearly 1 in 4 respondents were exposed to extremist white supremacist ideology in online games. Oh, heaven forbid. Belanger also reported the primary goal of the organization, take this research director, Rachel Gort, told Ars Technica that the primary objective of the project is to develop gaming industry-focused resources. Her group's ambition plan to reach out to big companies first, then engage smaller companies and indie developers for maximum impact. Interestingly, the game's UX22 presentation sponsored by Bungie died a long time ago for anyone who's still paying attention. Covert admitted to polling was bogus. In 2019, the Anti-Defamation League reported that nearly 1 in 4 was 23% of the game players exposed to white supremacist ideology in the game. She continued, and honestly, someone asked me earlier how I got into this work because it seems like a very niche area, but it was this report, and when I saw that, I thought the number was so high it can't be that high. It can't possibly be that high. And I called Daniel Kelly, who led the research, and he was like, no, that's the number. And I was like, okay, we have to do something about that. That's terrifying. Hook, line, und sinker. In 2021, they did another report looking at the same thing. They found the number was closer to 1 in 10, but it's unclear whether there's actually a change from the landscape or just difference in sampling, as research sometimes, she admits. And again, I've mentioned this in the past, and I'll mention it again. I don't trust polls. I don't trust research. Okay? There's so many ways to massage the information to get what you want. There's so many different tricks you can do. I didn't take statistics, unfortunately, because I took Cal 2. But since then, for work, I've actually done a lot of self-study in statistics and stuff, and you can fudge all the numbers. That's why I don't trust any of this shit. And of course, nowadays with the AI revolution and stuff, the fact of the matter is bots are doing a lot of this here shit too and stuff. So, the age old concept of garbage in, garbage out, but I've already covered that before. Nevertheless, as expected, the organization's targets white male gamers. Brad Glasgow reported back in 2022 the organization's presentation at the Games for Change Festival featured a slide promoting social justice and the usual BS you would expect. Oh god. Let's see. Lack of industry diversity, privileges, white male games, engendered misogyny, hardcore gamers, and the manosphere. Gamergate. Normalizing extremist discourse and ideology, extremist evangelization, mainstream games soft sell white supremacy, and the cycle continues. Ah, what a shame. This aligns perfectly with Sweet Baby Incorporated's own philosophy as espoused by Kim Blair during her presentation at the Game Developer Conference. We covered that a million times. Like comparing white male gamers to picky little babies and wah, 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 evil white men, blah, blah, blah. Same old shit. Yeah, so they're just repeating the backstory we've covered a million times. So this is where shit starts getting insidious because effectively government agencies are involved in this. As many degrees removed there are, at the end of the day, the glowies are doing their gay ops. Oh god. Sweet Baby Incorporated co-founder David Bedard, fucking retard, cries victim and claims company is targeted of far-right harassment campaign after bullying Brazilian gamer Cabritas Rambo. Reflex time, Pips at AC, random schedule. Kind of wish it'd be earlier in the day. Not while I'm fucking talking. Ugh. Sweet Baby Incorporated co-founder David Retard took to LinkedIn where he painted himself and his company as victims after multiple Sweet Baby Incorporated employees as well as co-founder Kim Blair engaged in the cancel campaign against Brazilian gamer Cabritas Rambo. Retard played the victim on LinkedIn where he posted, for the past 4 months, my company, Sweet Baby Incorporated, has been targeted by far-right harassment campaign by those dirty white male Nazis. He continued, this is a tough situation for me, my co-founder, Kim Blair, our entire team, and our collaborators. Very good choice of words there on that one. More than the frustrations caused by the harassment and the precautions we're putting in place as a result of that, the toughness comes from the fact that the entire campaign is based on misinformation. Bull fucking shit. This shit is on your goddamn website. Fuck off. Misinformation so wild and left field, or right field, as I guess. Yeah, that one's clever. That it's impossible to even engage or combat it. Then he referenced a Kotaku, truly this purveyor of truth and justice, article riddled with misinformation and lies written by Alyssa Mercante that he links at the conclusion of his post. So we spoke to the press to clear things up about exactly what we do and how we do it. Adding our voices to the conversation felt necessary because what's happening to us is something that's happened before in this industry and will happen again. Oh, those filthy gamergators. They just won't fucking roll over and die. It happens not just us, but our countless other devs, players, journalists, and creators. He continued, everyone who has reached out to me with kind words and support has also asked what they can do to help, and it took me a while to find the answer to the question, but I think I finally know. Oh yes, give us the answer. Yeah, what's going to come first in the boycott? The death of the video game or shady activists like Sweet Baby? I want both. The video game industry needs to die right now. It needs to die so it can be reborn. And shady activists just need to also die. Next, he asserted that this is what you can do to help. Check in on your marginalized colleagues and friends in the industry. Make sure they're okay. For a little Hubbox support group. Blowjobs for everyone, as far as he's concerned. Let them know that they are loved, that they are appreciated, and that they're welcome, and that they're talented. Tell them you're not going to let this kind of hate push them out of the industry. Tell them things like this won't scare all the community away. Well, they are protected and that they have a place here now more than ever. I'd be really grateful if you did that, he concluded. Oh, fuck off. Sweet Baby Incorporated employees Chris Kindred and Mayor Kramer attempted to cancel. Blah, blah, blah. This is shit we covered before. Yeah, about us section on the website and the game developments conference and stuff. They're trying to, like, these assholes are gaslighting and running gay ops and saying like, oh no, we don't want to take over the entire industry and get rid of white males. It's like that's exactly what you want to do. Like all they know how to do is destroy. They can't create. They think they're creators, but they're not. Cancel campaign against the Steam account. Yada yada. Yes, the sensitive reader risk assessment slide from the game developer conference. Been over that before. Rehashing everything we've covered so far. Okay, I do want to point this part out here because it's actually pretty amusing. Blair told him it's clear that some kind of evolution is needed because this will only get bigger, and I don't mean for us. She added, "If this playbook can work, what?" Okay, here's pay attention to this part. She added, "If this playbook can work well now, as it did 10 years ago with Gamergate, did it? It's going to keep working certain ways, and they will find something bigger or worse to do than this." Ironically, Kotaku journalist Alyssa Mercante admitted Sweet Baby Incorporated is one running the playbook. She wrote, "Despite the intensity of the backlash over the past few weeks, it's business as usual for Sweet Baby Incorporated. The company they work with haven't been scared off. They actually offered advice and best practices for how to move forward, practices they have developed after facing harassment of their own," Blair tells me. While Blair is not explicitly calling for Valve to take down the Steam Creator Group as her employees Chris Kindred and Maya Kramer did, Francis made it abundantly clear that it is her intention. He wrote, "The steps that both companies have taken to moderate these groups appear to have had some effect, but allowing them to remain online serves as the organization's overarching purpose, recruiting normies with little knowledge of game development to capitalize on their anger and channel them into directing hate speech towards Sweet Baby Incorporated and anyone else pressing for inclusivity in the video games and beyond. If those loopholes aren't closed, those bad actors will have learned that they can target other developers, and this will be the beginning of another massive hate campaign that will leave our industry and its people worse for wear." Shudder. Francis also confirms on X, "We reached out to Valve and Discord multiple times, asked how a group using the platform to target a company was within the bounds of their term of service. No answer back yet, and I hope they never do. But I have a feeling they're going to probably eventually capitulate because, Discord and, Valve. So there's that. A little side tangent on this one. Video game developers reportedly make characters androgynous to cater to transgenderism. We've kind of seen this for a while now, and this happened long before Abby. Multiple video game companies are reportedly making their characters androgynous in order to cater to transgender ideology. Gamers have noted that many female characters are being created by Western game companies look more like men rather than women. One example is Lara Croft. YouTuber Melanie Mack had been pointing out this for quite some time. In November 2023, she commented on the character's new redesign. They completely lost sight of the feminine tomboy balance of classic Lara Croft. They went full generic lesbian design. Just watch a Netflix show make a canon, dreading it. Yep. No tits, no ass, much like our VTubers in the Discord. So just last month, she also shared, "So Crystal Dynamics unified Lara Croft is Lena Candy confirmed." Oh God. Yep. Okay, I can't really answer it. Back in 2021, Horizon Forbidden West also criticized by making Aloy look more like a man when user X Ascendant Zen question, "Why does Aloy look like Buzz from Home Alone now?" Okay. Oh god, savage. More recently, Harley Quinn and Suicide Squad killed Justice League. Fuck that game. Well, actually, bless that game because it brought a lot of things to attention right now. So, thank you, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. You began Gamergate too. Funny how that works. I also criticized with a side-by-side comparison showing how Harley's curves were removed or significantly toned down when comparing to Arkham Knight. Yep. As recently brought back to public attention, YouTuber Eddie Munn in 2020, just before Naughty Dog was about to release Last of Us Part 2, alleged seasoned artist informed Sausage Roll is not really about sexual objectification of women. Women, like men, come in all shapes and sizes, as long as they're flat as a board, I guess, for these guys. To say having big busty women is unrealistic is untrue. Bullshit. This insider then added, this is only true for trans people. Fuck off. A trans woman can't naturally grow large breasts, and not all trans people can afford implants. If you see a game where women are a little less curvy, it's not because the game designers are worried about receiving backlash for sexualized women. It's because, here's the rub, it's because they're worried about offending the trans community. So, instead of... I need to reiterate this because it's very important. Women are now second-class citizens. And it's not from the right, quote-unquote, patriarchal Christian white men stuff. No. Women are now second-class citizens because of these assholes. Okay? Oh, fuck. Then he revealed from a design standpoint, it's really challenging problem. I've had many board meetings on how to tackle this. Trans people want realistic representation in our games, but they feel excluded if they're represented as too masculine or too feminine. So just don't cater to them at all, fuckers. They're like not even a blip on the radar as far as actual spending money, so fuck off. Who cares? Why even have the conversation? Oh, I know. Because the narrative. That's why you see a lot of designers nerfing female forms, so to speak. The difference between trans women and cis women is a little less noticeable. On top of these comments, the anonymous artist, YouTuber, Yellow Flash, oh fuck off Yellow Flash, I can't say that guy. While speaking with former lead for World of Warcraft, Mark Gurn, said, I was told it was done to be ambiguous to make everyone feel okay included, and purposely trying to walk a line here so they don't offend queer people. That's what I was told. Now take that with a grain of salt. Yes, and there was a reason why, when it came to Southeast Asia, that the Horde was disproportionately underrepresented compared to the Alliance back in the day. Until Blood Elves were introduced. I remember that. Well, Curran claimed not got the wind of this. He did share Western game studios are shooting themselves in the foot for Asia because Asia really wants beautiful women in their games. Case in point. Then he shares, then he goes over the Horde lines and bounce. So that's why we had Blood Elves, yada yada yada. Yep. The trannies have replaced women, or birthing people, or people with holes. Actually, I think I have. Did I add the J.K. Rowling one? I don't think I did. Looking. Okay, I don't think I had this article, but just as a side tangent, J.K. Rowling got raked over the coals again because she made a disparaging comment against trannies for the Mother's Day Mother's Day and stuff, and called them like birthing people or something. I forget what and stuff. But the usual suspects who have pitchforks out for her anyway, there's like, oh, you old hag, I hope you fucking die, that kind of shit and stuff. Just because these are just joyless cunts all around. Joyless cunts. And given how, unlike Hershey, I won't defend J.K. Rowling in any regard because she made her bed, she can fucking lay in it. Where was I? Oh yeah, the Adonis one. Oh god. Okay. Joker, folie à deux. Actress Lady Gaga, of course, defends evil transgender ideology, claims calling a man is hatred. Look at that face. That is a joyless cunt. Joker, folie adieu. Actress Lady Gaga, who is slated to play Harley Quinn. Oh, fuck off. No. Defended the evil and vile transgender ideology by calling a man as hatred. An Instagram post, Dylan Mulvaney. Oh, this cunt's still kicking around, of course. Dylan Mulvaney shared photos of himself and Gaga taking part in a photo shoot. In the final slide of the post, Gaga stated, "I'm putting you on my vision board for life. Put this on your vision board, world. We love you." Fuck off. Mulvaney, who is a man pretending to be a woman, captioned the post writing, "Happy International Women's Day." Again, you lady folk are second-class citizens. Keep this picture in mind. Numerous people criticized the post, given Mulvaney is a man, not a woman. Gaga took to her own Instagram account to defend posting with Mulvaney for International Women's Day. She wrote, "It's appalling to me to post about National Women's Day by Dylan Mulvaney, and me would be met with such vitriol and hatred. When I see a newspaper reporting on hatred but calling it backlash, I feel it is important to clarify that the hatred is hatred, and this kind of hatred is violence. Words are violence, people." Backlash would imply that people who love or respect Dylan and me didn't like something we did. This is not backlash, this is hatred. I can't even anymore. But it is not surprising given the immense work that is obvious we still have to do as a society to make room for transgender lives to be cherished. You gotta bump up at 41%. Goddamn. I'm getting sick and tired of this shit. Upheld by all of us, Gaga continued, "I feel very protective of this moment, not only of Dylan, but of trans community who continues to lead the way with their endless grace and inspiration, a face of constant degradation, intolerance, physical, verbal, and mental violence. And as a reminder, Dylan Mulvaney does not identify as a woman. He is an attention-seeking whore." He's not even AGP, for fuck's sakes. He doesn't even have that out. He's just literally that much of an attention whore who's willing to do anything for attention. He doesn't get off on it. I could even respect that on some level, getting, like AGPs, for those who don't know, AGPs, autogynephiles. That is to say, men who get off on pretending to be women. I can understand and respect that to a certain point of being able to get off on it and stuff for the sake of being a coomer and stuff, but there's not even that there. It's literally just straight up, this guy is an attention whore. And goddamn, he's still going. Gaga then declared, "I certainly do not speak for the community. Of course not, because you are a birthing hole. So shut your hole. But I have something to say." Of course you do. "I hope all women will come together to honor us all on International Women's Day, and may we do that always until the day that all women are celebrated equally." But you're not celebrated equally because you are secondary citizens now. That all people are celebrated equally. No, that's not how this works. A day where people of all gender identities are celebrated on whichever holiday speaks to them, because people of all gender identities and races deserve peace and dignity, but they do not deserve national holidays or reparations given some of those people. May we all come together to be loving, accepting, warm, welcoming. May we all stand and honor the complexity and challenges of trans life that we do not know, but can seek to understand and have compassion for. I love people too much to allow hatred to be referred to as backlash. People deserve better," she concluded. Look at that vile demon. Look at the soulless eyes. Archbishop Sample of the Archdiocese of Portland informed Catholic Answers back in June 2022 that the rise of transgenderism has to do with demonic activity. Holy shit. This news article is like, oh god. That wasn't intentional. I know I read this article before, but I forgot that line was there. He said, personally, I think so many attacks on marriage and family life that we see in culture today are a result of the sort of frontal attack the enemy has launched on marriage. So, just as failure rate of marriages today break down marriage and family life, the effort to even redefine what marriage is, all these are attacks of the enemy, he continued. Specifically discussing transgender ideology, Archbishop Sample said, God did create, as I just said, and Genesis tells us God created the first man and woman in his image and likeness. Correction, dear Archbishop, he created man, and then said, give me your rib. It's like, why? Because I said so. So shut it, ribs. He created them male and female. He created them, and we are in the image of likeness of God. So the enemy despises the image of God in us as God made us. And quite honestly, I think a lot of this insanity with the gender ideology today is again another attack on the image of God in each of us, individually in each of us. He continued, and the idea that we can redefine ourselves and even redesign ourselves rather than accept that we have come from the hand of creative God is indicative of this. Archbishop Sample then shared the conversation. I'm just reading this because this is amusing. He had with Pope Francis, he said, oh boy, this is going to be fun. This is a direct assault on God himself. It's the ultimate rejection of God. We don't need God. We don't need to accept God. We don't need to accept our individuality. We don't need to accept how God made us. We just cast God aside and I will define myself. I do that anyway, but I digress. He later added, this ideology in the culture today, now that there's no such thing as a binary gender, there's multiple genders that we can define. Nobody's one or the other. We're just this gender fluidity. So that young people growing up are indoctrinated into this ideology, and this is what Pope Francis goes off after. It's a terrible thing. That's what's happening. Even though Pope Francis is one of these motherfuckers promoting this shit, but we're not going to say that. You fucking cunt. It's like, dude, have you watched any? It's like I just want to sit down with this archbishop and say, like, motherfucker, do you listen to any of his speeches? This is the ideology he's spouting. I hate to break it to you, Padre, but you're working for Satan. Oh God. Okay, I was gonna piss off some people or make them sad. Prime Video's Fallout executive producer claims attempting to please fans is kind of a fool's errand. I know a lot of you are looking forward to the Amazon produced Fallout series, but look, guys, I have to be honest with you. If I can skip out and not watch The Wheel of Time, you can skip out and not watch Fallout, okay? Don't even hate watch it. Don't even hate watch it. You know it's going to be shit. Executive producer for Prime Video's upcoming Fallout series, Jonathan Nolan, shared that he did not set out to please fans and even claim attempting to do so is kind of a fool's errand. Fallout still going? Yes. Are there any Bethesda Fallout fans left after 76? Apparently. I've seen a couple of you guys talk in Proctor servers saying like, "Oh, I have hope for it." It's like, motherfucker, no, you shouldn't. You should not have hope for this because this is why. It's like, pay attention. This is important. As reported by Mary Station, Nolan attended a press event where he was asked about how he balances pleasing the fans and creating something to attract new audiences. Nolan said, I don't think you can really set out to please the fans of anything or please anyone other than yourself. I think you have to come to this trying to make the show that you want to make and trusting that as fans of the game, we would find the pieces that were essential to us and the games to try to do the best version of those that we can. He elaborated. I think it's kind of a fool's errand to try to figure out how to make people happy. Reed, he's not going to bother. This is going to be the Halo series all over again. I hate to break it to you. It's going to be Halo all over again. Nolan concluded, and that's why you're going to make yourself happy, and I made myself very happy with the show. It's no surprise that he did not set out to please the fans. Nolan and his wife, Lisa Joy, previously confirmed the show would be laden with social commentary. This is a red flag. I knew this first when it was announced and stuff that it was going to be laden with social commentary. They were really open about this, and how people they really clue in on this, I don't know. Speaking with Vanity Fair's Anthony, I'm not even going to pronounce that name. Back in November, Nolan said the games are about cultural division and haves and have-nots that unfortunately have only gotten more acute in his country around the world over the last decades. Oh, fuck off. We get to talk about a wonderful speculative fiction way he had it. I think we're all looking at the world going, God, things seem to be heading in a very frightening direction. Please, I want Liberty Prime now. Nolan went on to reveal the show will provide moral commentary and do it through the character of Lucy, a vault dweller played by Ella Purnell. And of those of you who didn't pay attention, yes, the series is going to have female main character. Expect girl bossing moments abound. He details how many of us have such naive ideas even now about everyone else's experiences. It's one of those things I love about America is this giant manic collection of different experiences, different points of view, as long as you're not a straight white male Christian. But I digress. Next, Nolan explained how the show will use Lucy. Here's the important part, pay attention. Next, Nolan explained how the show will use Lucy to moralize the viewers. Lucy is a charming and plucky and strong, and then you see she's confronted with the reality of, hey, maybe the supposedly virtuous things you grew up with are not necessarily that virtuous. If they are virtuous, they're couched in circumstantial virtuousness. It's a luxury virtue. You have your point of view because you never ran out of food, right? You guys were able to share everything because you had enough to share. He then declared that the series follows her collusion with the hard reality of other people's experiences and what happened to people who frankly were left behind to die. To this point, while describing the character of Maximus, who's a squire in the Brotherhood of Steel, Nolan states one of the things we're trying to gently sidestep here is the kind of binary thinking like they're the good guys or bad guys. Whoever the good guys or bad guys were, they destroyed the whole world, so now we're pretty much more in the gray area, he asserted. I'm sure that the Brotherhood of Steel is going to be nothing but blue-eyed blondes. It's like evil chuds. Mark my words. But, as for the Brotherhood of Steel, no one describing a bit of Marine Corps. Oh yeah, you know how the Brotherhood of Steel is going to be portrayed in this because he's literally spelling out right here. It's a bit of the Knight Templars, this kind of weird fusion, mutated version of patriotism, religion, loyalty, and fraternity. Oh, it's going to go over swimmingly. What do you think of Nolan's comments about not setting out to please fans while making an adaptation of a video game series? It's going to be utter shit, and I'm not going to bother watching it. Okay, back to Sweet Baby. Sweet Baby Incorporated CEO Kim Belair admits she wanted to take over the video game industry. It's a bit redundant, but we're going to go into it anyway. In another resurfaced clip following Sweet Baby Incorporated's attempted cancellation of Brazilian gamer Cabritos Rambo, the company's CEO Kim Belair admits she wants to take over the video game industry. In a brief interview with Inclusion FX that was posted to YouTube back in 2021 and brought to attention by ex-user Johnny Massacre, like the name, Belair documents how she created Sweet Baby Incorporated and what purpose the company was. All right, this is the juicy stuff. She said, in 2018, one of my best friends and I teamed up and we founded a company. The original desire was just to write together. We wanted to write with the two of us and a friend of ours, and we wanted to write games. But we realized as a unit, we realized we were capable of doing for others what had not been done to us, which was to support us, empower us, to lift us up, to value our talent, and to help build our skills. And the video here is you want to go watch it until it gets taken down. She continued, and so today we do our writing, narrative design, story building, story breaking as our first and foremost. But on a secondary level, we work very hard to get marginalized talent into the industry to protect them the way that we would want to have been protected, to lift them up, and to get them into an industry where they're too often shut out. Citation fucking needed, you talentless hack. You're not shut out because you're black, you're shut out because you suck. There's a difference. Blair then admitted, and basically I think take over in the hopes that some really dope people will be able to lead into a kind of new era for the industry that's been kind of been, the same way too long. Later in the interview, she was asked how she protects her mental health and admitted she would rather create subpar games than attempt to achieve greatness. She said, I think to protect myself and for my own mental health, I have made sure that I work with people I really, really care about and really, really respect and really, really enjoy working with. I often talk about the fact that like video games are such huge projects, and they feel like there's these huge works of creative brilliance. It takes so many brains, but for me, I would much rather work on something that's an okay project with great people who I care about, who lift each other up, who provide a sense of balance, than something that may be technically very proficient, but was hell to make and people aren't empathetic. In 2019, during a present, yeah, so okay, this is a review shit we've seen before. Yada 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 yada. Okay, none of what we're doing is about ticking boxes or veneer wokeness. We actually have to care about making this stuff. Actually, I do remember that line before. So yeah, this is just rehashing other stuff. But yeah, so linchpin here is that, you know, it's like, oh, we don't want to take over your video games, but actually we do, and we're going to make them shit because we're shit. We're going to bring, again, I've mentioned this before. It's not about raising people up. They can say like, we're going to raise these people up. It's like, no, you want to knock down Whitey. You want to knock down the white patriarchal system of oppression, like the good little fucking communist that you are. It's also tiring. Okay, coming back to Mark Kern. Former lead for World of Warcraft, Mark Kern explains how ESG influences video game developers and how it kills them. Former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern recently detailed how influential ESG standards are for video game developers. If you're unfamiliar with the term ESG, I'm not going to bother. We all know what ESG is at this point. And going over how it was largely spearheaded by CEO BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, and how you have to control narrative, to control behaviors, blah blah blah. Okay, so I actually watched this interview when it happened. So Mark Kern went on Quarter Pounders, Quarter Pounders YouTube channel, and talked about the games and stuff, specifically around the Sweet Baby Incorporated thing, so that Quarter Pounder can get his pound of flesh from Gamergate 2 because he did so swimmingly the first time around. He says very profitable. There is an entire industry built up around DEI initiatives, consultancy. I tark English. Consultancy and sensitivity reading, which has plagued novels for a long time. I have many writer friends who were basically edged out of their publishing houses and went independent because of stuff like this. It is a very profitable industry. It was a very profitable industry, as we've noticed over the last little while. He reiterated, it's financially motivated in its oldest time. Consultancy is a very profitable business. There are huge firms on Wall Street that do this, and it's exactly that. You create a problem, you go in, and you say you're going to solve it, but actually just move the deck chairs around Titanic, because if you actually solved it, then because if you actually solved it, they wouldn't rehire you, and then you would have a recurring business stream. It's all this time. Yeah, like I've been calling this a grift for years, and that's all it is. It's a grift. They don't really care about anything they postulate about. They're just there to justify their liberal arts majors. That's all it is. That's all it ever was. For the greater conflict, for their fellow comrades in arms. Kern then brought the conversation of Sweet Baby Incorporated's narrative consulting business. The real question I have is, why writing? Why are these game companies hiring writers? It is the smallest portion of your game team. It is the cheapest part of your budget. It makes no sense to outsource. Okay, this is really important. To outsource it unless you're after a very specific expertise that you do not have in house. And what is that expertise as marketed by Sweet Baby Incorporated? It's wokeness. They sell wokeness. Why is wokeness valuable to the company? And for that, you have to get where I was. CEO level game companies, how games funded, ESG, and why it matters to your credit score, and what helps get your game funded. And you can check the boxes and hire firms like this. So, yeah. So for those who don't know, the ESG, they would look at metrics of like, okay, do you have a lot of women? Do you have a lot of black people? Do you have any trannies and stuff? And like those were the metrics that like BlackRock and Vanguard and shit like that there were looking at. and stuff. And if you were to hire these contractors like Sweet Baby Incorporated and stuff, you would check those boxes, and it's like, oh look, we have these diversity hires. Can you give us more money, please, please, oh Lord, Lord Proctor. I said Lord Proctor, Lord Protector, Larry Fink. It's like, yes, here's your millions, millions, and billions of ESG money, and that's how they would do it. Later in the interview, while discussing Sweet Baby Incorporated's involvement with Suicide Squad, Killed the Justice League, and how the game likely lost Warner Brothers upwards of 100 million, Kern said it's not that gamers are upset about, oh hey, we have some diversity in the game. It's actually the way to go about it with pure tokenism, with phoning in weak characters instead of creating strong new characters. It's more importantly about vindicativeness, to destroy the past, to destroy the IP, to ignore the source material, and to tear apart these beloved characters in some fitful rage that we don't understand as very disingenuous. He continued, and I think that's the tremendous reaction to Suicide Squad. Yes. He then shares his opinion on how this will affect the way games are financed. This is going to have an immense financial impact. The way games are funded, if you don't use your own money, even EA games is hugely expensive to make. There are upwards of 250, sometimes 600 million for certain live games. It's incredible. It's incredible how expensive they are. And to do that, your CFO is your best friend. Kern explained, you're counting on your CFO to get you tax breaks to put studios in regions that are financially favorable, and you will borrow the cheap money. You will get the cheap money to do it. He continued, even EA does this. I work with EA. We put together a deal where they were taking bailout money from the banks in the last financial crisis that we had, and they were applying it that cheap towards games. The same thing with COVID money. They're applying that cheap money towards games. And what has been cheapest money while interest rates were still low a couple of years ago, it was ESG financing. It was a couple of years ago. Things are different now. And so they're going to take this money and they're going to put it into games. However, Kern knows the landscape is changing, but now they don't have that money anymore because ESG is either being diminished or rebranded because the returns on investment, that read none, have been so poor that Wall Street or for ESG funds, the source of revenue is drying up and under a shit ton of legislation right now, as we've covered in other articles. This woke machine cannot continue the way it has now for AAA gaming, he asserted. However, he believes it might be too late for many studios to bought in. Unfortunately, it's so entrenched that you're not going to see much of the ability to course correct because the studios are so infected, they're going to shut down. And this is what I'm looking forward to. Goddamn, we need a video game crash yesterday. Holy fuck. And it's truly rise of AA gaming, or what some fans call S-tier games like Helldivers, like Pal World, and Last Epoch. Really incredible success stories in a period where game companies are experiencing significant losses. The bleeding will continue, and no one's going to wake up from it. Unfortunately, it's going to be a total nosedive, he concluded. I agree. How we doing? Progress still going? Oh my god, he's still going. And I'm beating him by one. That made my day. Okay, where was I? Speaking of Helldivers. Alphabet Soup activists accuse Helldivers 2 developers of silencing them after they attempted to push propaganda into the game. I'm going to translate that because it's really funny. Alphabet Soup activists accuse Helldivers 2 developers of not giving in to their demands, and they are throwing a hissy fit, and it is fucking hilarious. Let's get into it. Numerous Alphabet Soup activists are accusing Helldivers 2 developers of attempting to silence them after they attempted to push Alphabet Soup propaganda into the game. As reported by Edimon, numerous Alphabet Soup activists spoke with Polygon. Polygon. I told you it's Gamergate 2, and all the old suspects are coming out of the grave. It's great. Like a family reunion of zombies. And accused developers, Airheads Game Studios, of silencing them. One activist gone by the name of Panda. Panda told the outlet, the problem here isn't actually the bigots. Those are an unfortunate fact of life and can never be fully eradicated. Yeah, no shit. The problem is that Arrowhead's official spaces have made a deliberate decision to silence the alphabet soup voices under the guise of banning any political discussion, as if people's identities are political, and as if this game was not created to market it as a heavy-handed piece of political satire. Fuck off. We're killing your bugs in that. We're killing the bugs in the robots. We're killing you, you fucking brain dead commie. It's like a personal attack to these people. Quotation marks around people. Polygons, Diego Nicolas, there you go. Also claimed that individual named Wendy Wilson demanded pride flag. Here's the fun part. Named Wendy Wilson demanded pride flag capes be added to the game in an official Discord server after numerous gamers told her to keep propaganda away. She changed her profile picture to the transgender flag. This broad then detailed after posting a long message to the official Helldiver 2 Discord detailing events and asking for proper moderation. She was timed out for 24 hours. Her message was deleted, and other sworn people DM'd her. Wilson informed Polygon disallowing discussion only causes Alphabet Soup members of the community to hide while the bigots get to remain. No, it's called not having politics in the game. And you got moderated because you got told to shut the fuck up, and you didn't shut the fuck up, so they made you shut the fuck up. Christ Almighty, Helldiver is made by a studio from the gayest city in the whole country, and it's not woke enough. Exactly. They're never. You give them an inch, they take a mile. They're never satisfied with anything. That's why you don't give them an inch. Don't give them an inch. Interestingly, a number of players on the game's Steam forums have indicated they were kicked from the game's Discord for opposing Alphabet Soup propaganda in the game. The game devs in this case had an even hand. They were like, no politics on either side, shut the fuck up, and everyone got banhammer. So respect for that. User Calibrix0 posted, so someone's starting to post all the dirt on the Alphabet Soup stance and devs, and I got kicked out because the question why this group people need their flagged everywhere and why should they get the flag put on as a cape where no one else will. The moment I posted that shortly, I was kicked from Discord. He added, not going to lie, the censorship and lack of democracy is getting old. Oh, you poor baby. I don't give a shit about anyone involved in this. It's funny. It's just funny. In an edit, he also posted, to the point I try to make, as I have on Reddit, is that if you give the cape, you must give it to everyone or nobody at all. Fair is fair. If I'm made to put up with seeing it, at least be fair to the other group people that are underrepresented. Either way, I'm sick of politics on the left and everything. Just leave me alone. Let me play my game and tune out that world crap. Oh, and the final message to those who support the censorship, protect your fragile ideology. To this, I say one simple thing: seize more, and your hatred of diversity of thought only brings more awareness to the way you people think and act, he concluded. Another user, Hyper Retroactive, also shared, I was banned from the Discord for what I am about to say, but I do not think it is controversial. I would like this game to remain politically neutral. Someone in Discord suggested Alphabet Soup skins, and my response was to keep homosexual politics out of the game, and I would like to make a formal request of public support. I do not need or want political nonsense in my games, and support Trump, Ukraine, BLM, Gaza, Israel, or Alphabet Soup, all of which become politically oriented. It appears that developers are removing any and all discussion around the subject and are not silencing or targeting a specific group. Everyone is equal when it comes to the banhammer. Nevertheless, these Alphabet Soup activists will likely not stop attempting to paint themselves as the victims and will continue to campaign push their evil propaganda into the game. If you're unfamiliar with Helldivers 2, the game is a third-person squad-based shooter that sees players become soldiers of Super Earth. They work together in a wide variety of weapons to take out alien threats. It was released February 8th, 2024. So, little cry bullies got crying because they were bullying, but then everyone got the banhammer, so they weren't exactly special. So, oh god, oh, it just never ends. Okay, so this one made the rounds, and some people might have heard of this by now, but we'll go into it because it's a bit of a trip. Former Bungie and Pokemon Company lawyer defends Sweet Baby Incorporated, says his job was to get rid of anti-woke gamers. If you heard about us talking about this in the Discord, This cue ball is the guy in question. Former lawyer for Bungie and Pokemon Company, as well as the producer on Detective Pikachu, Don McGowan, defended Sweet Baby Incorporated and admitted his job was to get rid of anti-woke gamers. McGowan said McGowan made his comments using the X handle legal minimum, but previously identified himself back in September 2022, writing, "My real name is trivially easy to locate, but just so it's clear, I am Don McGowan. I spent 12 years as chief legal officer of Pokemon and am now general counsel of Bungie." And for those who you who remember, Bungie is woke as fuck, so not surprised this guy this guy's working for them. McGowan responded to a thread by Kotaku, of course, the fucking Kotaku. Journalist Alyssa Mercante. Hey, we talked about, we saw her article in the other one before. Claims that Sweet Baby Incorporated, as well as herself, are being harassed. Of note, Mercante does not share that Sweet Baby Incorporated employees Chris Kindred and Maya Kramer, as well as CEO Kim Blair, have launched a multiple canceled campaigns against Steam creator list and its creator, Brazilian gamer Cabritos Rambo. She also made no mention of racist actions of past Sweet Baby Incorporated employees or past racist comments made by Kim Blair, which we've covered thoroughly before. Mercante initially wrote, "If you aren't sure if this is a harassment campaign, just take a look at the content. Look at how many sock puppet accounts flock to comments on posts. Look at the language of those comments. Look at the images they're sharing, the way they're manipulating pictures of women. Yeah, because you're cutting off their tits and we're putting them back on." McGowan reacted to the thread with his own by accusing gamers of being sexist and racist. He wrote a thread, 20 years in game, 17 C-suite, so I'm well situated to say this. These people blaming one consultancy for everything they don't like are again demonstrating they know nothing about the subject they're purport to be discussing. They are sexist and racist. Oh yes, those sexist and racist gamers. Ah, those filthy, disgusting gamers. They should just go back into their mom's basement. You fucking cunt. Next, he made the absurd claim that video game developers at large no longer want to make games for gamers. Yeah, and how's that going for your bottom line there, cunt? Not only did he make that claim, but he also revealed his entire career has been built around trying to get rid of gamers. So, Cue Ball wants to shoot himself in the foot. Yeah, makes sense. He wrote, and it never occurs to them that the reason nobody makes games for them was because no one wanted to make those kinds of games. No one wants your money because no one wants you in their environment. Take it from someone whose job was figuring out ways to get rid of you. There it is. Trust and safety departments exist to get assholes out of the gaming environment. He continued, you end up creating them to get rid of assholes because adult humans don't want to spend their leisure time with assholes. You're a gamergator? Fuck off, you goddamn child. No one wants your money. Go spend it on anime porn. I will. And you'll go out of business, asshole. McGowan then took a shot at former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern via ex-user Rami Ishmael. Ishmael is a Muslim activist and co-founder of Lambeer that produced the mobile game Ridiculous Fishing, Lush Trousers, and Nuclear Throne. Ismail wrote, "So Gamergate ex-dev grifter is back claiming shit about forced diversity leading funding, and let me tell you, the moral Muslim that I am, currently not raping my third wife, and goat. Not even once in my life have worked on or with any title that has easier time getting funding because it was different, diverse, inclusive, or equitable." McGowan responded, "As always, Rami Ishmael has nailed it." Suck that sand nigger cock. God damn. The white self-hatred on display here. I fucking love how proud he is about producing Detective Pikachu. He keeps bringing it up like he directed a legendary classic like Citizen Kane. LOL. Yeah, I know. Funny how that works. Next, he posted, by the way, if you're fucking crying about the fact I'm telling you to eat shit, think about why you're such a person. The producer, Detective Pikachu, thinks you are human garbage and maybe work on being less shitty. Ah, yes. I want this person working on my children's media. Yes. Very mature. Yes. Clearly. He continued, "You complain about bubbles, but you're living in the biggest one. You dorks sit around self-reinforcing that you're somehow not human garbage. Production much. Get your moms to give you more allowance and buy Clue." Again. Oh, God. I can get through this. I have to say, I'm always impressed with the one person who tweeted the original tweet and also screenshotted it in case I blocked him so he can have forever proof that he is a dork and no one intelligent agrees with him, he wrote. I mean, I still blocked him because dork, he added. Next, McGurn shared an interview he did with Aftermath where he explained that what he did at both Bungie and the Pokemon Company is a way of giving his opinion or authority. Yes, this is the fallacy known as arguing from authority. This is a no-no. After he wrapped up his thread writing, "What's the old rule about not showing tolerance to people who are themselves intolerant?" That one. That's that's what you see in this thread, and my response, no, I'm not interested in debate. No, I don't care. You think I'm a bully? Get back to your fucking lockers. This thread is giving me a block finger a good workout, he added. Finally, he concluded he doesn't want to hear the truth. Short dork. What you believe isn't true. What, people aren't allowed to disagree? Have at it, champ. I just don't care about your opinions, etc. So again, this cue ball who worked at a Pokemon company and now works for Bungie wants to get rid of gamers. He wants to put himself out of a job like everyone else here we've talked about so far. He wants to put himself out of business because he cannot create, he can only destroy. Such is the life of communists. Okie dokie. Game developer consultant Richie DeRitt promises to destroy careers of video game company employees if they call out DEI policies. See, they're circling the wagons. He should call us detractor dorks 8,000 times more. I'm sure it'll work eventually. Yeah, I'm sure his hair will grow back too. Richie DeWitt, founder of Bare Knuckle, which is described as an inclusive business development consultancy for experienced and up-and-coming game developers, promised to destroy the careers of anyone in the video game industry that calls out DEI policies, aka their bread and butter. As captured by former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern, DeWitt posts on X before locking his account down, "I've been seeing more and more hateful Gamergate-esque opinions. I want to be clear where I stand. I won't tolerate any harassment, violence, or threat towards devs, minorities, and women in our industry in any space that I own or have control over. So long as I'm the one doing it." But he's not going to say that part. He continued, "I don't care about your opinions and I won't go in discussions with you. I am not interested in explaining to you how little you know of the workings of our industry." Again, this guy is doing what Cue Ball does and is arguing from authority, which is a fallacy. But of course, I'm not a lazy asshole like Sargon who will just say, like, fallacy, arguing from authority, and just leave it at that. I actually want to explain my point and how that is bad. "And I will report and block your account." He concluded by threatening, "And if by any chance you happen to be working in this industry and you are voicing said opinions, I'll screenshot you, put you on a person list, and advocate that you'll never work in the company I work for or associate with. Hey, the game's Journo Pro list, Mark II." Again, this is just Gamergate 2. I mean, it just doesn't fucking stop. It just does not fucking stop. Oh my god. Well, DeWitt admitted he will actively engage in this behavior. Former Bungie Larry Don McGowan, the guy we talked about in the last article, admitted he's been using tactics within the video game industry for years, and we already covered this. We already covered this in the previous article. Sweet Baby Incorporated review, blah blah blah. Reviewing the Sweet Baby Incorporated stuff we've covered a million times. Yada yada yada. Crybaby thing. I'm Discord trying to get rid of them. Yada yada yada. Okay, so the second half of the article is just rehashing all the Sweet Baby stuff. So again, these articles are just going to keep on coming because these assholes are circling the wagons. They circled the wagons for Gamergate 1, they're circling the wagons for Gamergate 2, and it's just a who's who of the usual suspects. And I just waited for Anita Sarkeesian to come back from her fake birthday wedding and try to get her feminist frequency Mark II out. I'm calling it right now. That's gonna fucking happen. And just give it time. Oh god. Okay. Now to quote unquote real news, air quotes. Okay, so this is a follow. This is a follow up to the golf tranny article I covered the last time. Transgender golfer booted after woman's pro tour adopts biological at birth rules. So for the long and short of it is that uh, the women's portion of the golf federation or whatever and stuff, they've actually cracked down on trannies and saying like if you were born a man you're not allowed to compete against women, which is what should actually be the case, but better late than never. And at the time I read that article, it wasn't exactly uh, a comment from the tranny in question, and this is actually the follow-up with said opinion. Actually, is their opinion even in this? It's a day or two since I read it. This is just a repeat of what they've done. No. Okay, I was wrong on that one. So, still haven't heard a boo from this guy, but it's just more information of the actual backstory of Buddy coming in and, of course, a man coming into women's sport and, cleaning house. That's just the way it works. And this is just giving the information of his win rate and his prize winnings and stuff. And since he got booted from the organization, so okay, this is kind of neat. Not exactly what I was expecting, but I'm sure I'm probably going to cover it again in coming days because I'm sure he's probably going to throw hissy fit. That fake wedding party is the only time I felt any kind of sympathy for Caucasian witch. Yeah. I still remember when that picture made the rounds. We were all like, "This can't be real." It's like, "Oh god, this is fucking sad." Of course, I like the Photoshop of like her and like Movie Bob and some of the other ones. Oh god. Okay, all right, focus. China planted mystery. Okay, so this one here is actually a little scary, but I'm not scary in its applications, but I'm not surprised in that it exists. Is how I want to put this. China planted mystery devices in all cranes used in U.S. ports could seize control remotely, a congressional letter. Top Republicans from multiple House committees are sounding the alarms of a series of mysterious devices that appear to have been planted on container cranes used throughout the U.S. port system by China. Lawmakers say that numerous modems with no known function were uncovered from ship to shore cranes, which are used to load and unload cargo at nation's largest ports. All these cranes in questions were manufactured by Shanghai Zhenhua Heavy Industries, a subsidy of state-owned. Saying it's a subsidy of state-owned China Communications Construction Company. Saying it's owned by the government is kind of redundant. I keep saying I have to say this on every China article because there are some people who still don't understand. If you work in China, you work for the government. Okay, there's no such thing as There's no such thing as a private company in China. They're all run by the government. Everyone there has a commissar. Effectively every company has a commissar and answers to the Communist Party. Okay. There is no private companies in China. All Chinese companies serve the Chinese government, and what the Chinese government will do is shit like this here: install black boxes on shit they sell us dumb whiteys, and we'll just use them sight unseen. It's like, hey, what's that box do? It's like, it's just there. It does something, and then shit like this happens. Relatedly, lawmakers noted that the ZPMC's manufacturing facility is located adjacent to China's most advanced ship making facility, where the regime builds its aircraft carriers and houses advanced intelligence capabilities. In a letter addressed to the president and chairman of ZPMC, the lawmakers demand to know the purpose of the cellular modems discovered on crane components in the U.S. Seaport server room that houses firewall and networking equipment. These components do not contribute to the operation of the SDS cranes or maritime infrastructure and are not part of any existing contract between ZPMC and a receiving U.S. maritime port, the letter said. Yeah, some people notice this and they're like, hey, what does that do? I don't know. And I've I've repeatedly gone over articles to this effect, saying like doing business with your literal geopolitical enemies is retarded. And look what happens. And it looks like they're cracking down. Looks like they're cracking down on. Not only did they send a letter, it looks like they're getting IT in and like dealing with these modems and systems and stuff. And it's just like, what the fuck, dude? Seriously. And I like this line because it's really true. As things play out, they are going to start initiating the hitting of targets set in cyber. The port cranes are a perfect example, Mr. Miller said. This is the importance of making things here. If you want to reduce Chinese threats, start making things here. Yeah, but unfortunately, like I've mentioned in the past before, especially like for example, like microchips and stuff, the development and lead in time to making a foundry for microchips, you're looking at like 10 years and stuff, and just to save a buck, offshoring everything to your enemy, and then comes back and haunt you. And this is the world we're dealing right now. So you're gonna have things like cranes going haywire, electronics like I haven't really covered it yet and stuff, but there's a TikTok ban working its way through the U.S. government right now, and it's not just going to affect TikTok and stuff, but they're calling it the TikTok bill. It's not going to be just a TikTok thing, but even still, it's like they really shouldn't have to legislate that kind of shit and stuff. It's like just put out like just do a massive like propaganda campaign of saying like, look, if you don't even have to legislate. You just do a big psyop. Just do a big old fashioned propaganda campaign saying like, if you use TikTok, you're working for the enemy. Loose lips sink ships. Just run and repeat the loose lips sink ship propaganda campaign. It's literally the same thing. And that's all the TikTok thing is. It's like don't use but it's okay when they do it, kind of thing and stuff. So like continue to use your Facebooks and then Instagrams and YouTubes and shit like that. And, continue to give Big Daddy American government your information, but don't give it to those filthy chinks. Oh god. Okay. This is actually really good news. So strap yourselves in. This is good. Okay. So I've covered this here before. So this is the final conclusion of the Deadspin racist guy trying to peg the kid. So Deadspin fires all employees as part of liquidation sale just weeks after blackface lawsuit. 4 weeks after the family of 9-year-old Kansas City Chiefs fan sued Deadspin after journalist Karen Phillips falsely accused him of wearing blackface at the game. The outlet parent company GO Media, previously Gizmondo Media Group, announced it had fired everyone and sold the sports blogging site to a European company, Lineup Publishing. Lineup seeks to build a new team more in line with the editorial vision for the brand. CEO Jim Spanfeller, I like the name, Spanfeller, announced Monday. So this guy is fucking fired. We don't imagine the sale will likely impact a lawsuit which was filed against Geo Media. Phyllis, meanwhile, has gone private on X and may find himself in the unemployment line for a while. Barstool Sports owner Dave Portnoy, who Deadspin has talked massive shit about in the past, celebrated as one does when an enemy self-vanquishes. you hate to see him go. How many times can I pop a bottle for the same goddamn company? How many times can I kill Deadspin? How many times can Julie DeCaro lose her goddamn job? Portnoy said, adding, those motherfuckers just don't get it. Being miserable, hating life, never laughing, it's never going to pay the bills. See you motherfuckers in the employment line. Again, victory! Thumbs up to you, buddy. Oh, God. As the more on the sale via Axios, impacted staffers were notified Monday that they were being let go from Geo Media, making the third round of cuts at the firm in less than a year. Spanfeller said Lineup Publishing approached him about the sale and that the company was not actively stopping Deadspin. The rationale behind the decision to sell included a variety of important factors, including the buyer's editorial plans for the brand. Oh, God. Be still. Tough competition in the sports journalism sector. They write about sports. Couldn't tell. An evaluation that reflected a sizable premium from original purchase price for the site, Spanfeller wrote in a memo, aka you got fucking screwed because you bought shit. Well, the new owners plan to, referential to Deadspin's unique voice, they plan to take a different content approach regarding the site's overall sports coverage, he added. Catch up quick. The Geo Media has been offloading sites and cutting staff gradually over the past year as it streamlines its focus to become more efficient. The company shuttered its female focused brand Jezebel. I remember that. It was glorious. And laid off 23 editorial staffers as part of the broader restructuring last November. It sold Jezebel to Pace Magazine. It sold lifestyle website Lifehacker to Ziff Davis last March and laid off 13 staffers last June. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. I just like this. There's a heartwarming ending to the Deadspin's famously failed story of a 9-year-old kid who was caught wearing blackface. Sports journalist who wrote blackface hit piece on 9-year-old Chief fan now unemployed. Tears. Ah, good times. Where was I? Yes. Okay, I haven't really covered the Boeing stuff too much other than just making offhanded comments on, like diversity hires are going to kill people because of, shoddy quality of planes and pilots and shit like that. But this here took a Epstein turn. Epstein/McAfee turn. A Boeing whistleblower found dead in truck from self-inflicted gunshot wound. I agree with the use of those quotation marks. Yes. 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the back of the head. Yes, many such cases. Very tragic. Commonization of the internet might be 9% bad, but it's killing shit-tier journalism as one glimpse of gold in the shit pile. Yeah. I know. I knew this shit was coming and stuff, and it's kind of like, yeah, with the death of the internet, it's going to affect everyone and stuff. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad. And saying like, okay, you assholes helped us get here, so give yourself a round of applause. Golf clap. Okay, so Boeing whistleblower found dead in truck from self-inflicted gunshot wound. In the latest twist, what can only be described as an onslaught of horrific news surrounding Boeing, or perhaps a sequel to the Hudsucker proxy, where a mysterious cabal is trying to spark a stock panic so they can buy it. Okay, I actually do agree with this to some point. There's so much stuff lining up in rapid succession, it almost seems like a gay op. So I do mildly subscribe to this hypothesis that someone is doing all this shit on purpose to devalue the stock so they can come in and buy out Boeing. It wouldn't surprise me. Industrial espionage is a thing. Came this afternoon when we learned that the key whistleblower employee and former quality control manager who raised concerns about the firm production standards was found dead after an apparent suicide. John Burnett, former veteran Boeing employee of 32 years, passed away from a self-inflicted wound on March 9th, as confirmed by a Charleston County coroner, according to BBC, which broke the news Monday evening. Burnett's lawyer said he was found dead in a truck near the hotel parking lot in South Carolina from an alleged self-inflicted wound, with breaking 911 calling it a gunshot wound, and BBC, the Gateway Pundit, and numerous other sources referring to it as a self-inflicted wound. Burnett was involved in the whistleblower lawsuit against Boeing, alleging serious safety concerns at the North Charleston plant, where he managed quality for the 787 Dreamliner production. Boeing was in Charleston for legal interviews related to the lawsuit when he was found dead. So they just happened to be in town and he ends up dead. It's a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. Stop noticing things. He claimed the push for speed compromised safety, with substandard parts being used and a significant failure rate in emergency oxygen systems. Despite raising these issues, he felt concerns were disregarded, leading to legal action against Boeing, alleging career damaging due to whistleblowing. Boeing has denied his allegations, but the Federal Aviation Administration upheld some of Burnett's safety concerns in 2017. At the time of his passing, Burnett was engaged in legal proceedings related to his claims. The FAA said last week it found multiple instances where the company allegedly failed to comply with manufacturing quality control requirements. This is not a 737 problem, this is a Boeing problem, he said during a recent interview he took with TMZ, speaking out about his concerns with Boeing airplanes back in 2012. Boeing started removing inspection operations off their jobs. He continued. My concern with the 737 and 787, he said, because those programs have really embraced the theory that quality, eh, if overhead and non-value added. In recent in a recent year in recent God damn it. In recent year the public English motherfucker, do you speak it? Recent year public's attention had been focused primarily on the company's 737 MAX airplane, which was grounded briefly after two deadly crashes in 2019, revealed a deadly corporate culture of cost cutting, uh, uh, cutting costs and corners, which led to a collapse in the stock price and cost former Boeing CEO Dennis Muhlenberg his job. Okay, so here's the joke. However, it now appears that concerns about the airplane safety Boeing should focus on the entire production line, or rather, some have already speculated that Barnett killed himself to contain the damage. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has killed you. You have committed suicide by Hillary Clinton and now unable to testify against Hillary Clinton. So yeah, I do. I am in the camp. I believe he got Arkancided. Boeing edition of Arkancide. The news comes the same day as Al Jazeera, Al Jazeera, posted a video showing the walkthrough of the Boeing plant in South Carolina. There, when asking employees if they would fly in the jets they are assembling, numerous employees said they would not. Many employees are addicted to drugs, and no one cares. Reporter wrote, the video is there. You can go watch it if you want. Over the weekend, we learned that the Department of Justice opened a criminal investigation in the company, according to the Wall Street Journal. Department of Justice initiated the criminal probe into the incident involving the infamous convertible Alaskan airline. Oh God, why do you have to call it that? Alaskan air flight, during which the door plug ripped off a brand new 737 MAX mid-flight. Then on Sunday, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Butter, Pete Butt, because this guy doesn't fucking do his job, joined Fox News and explained the Federal Aviation Administration would rigorously bullshit probe Boeing. He said that maintaining the airline safety requires an enormous amount of rigor in dealing with Boeing and any regulatory issue. Fuck off, you are got paid for and bought. You're not fooling anyone, fucker. Meanwhile, Boeing and federal regulators have their hands full after several aircraft incidents last week. As James Lavish pointed out on Twitter, the company has been awash with controversy since the beginning of the year, including the following separate incidents. Including but not limited to passenger door blown out mid-flight, cockpit window cracked, takeoff, oxygen leak pre-flight, passenger nose bolt missing on wing pre-flight, lost wheel during takeoff, wobble off, lost wheel after takeoff mid-air, plane arrived with cargo door open, landing gear malfunction, engine failure mid-flight, engine fire mid-flight. As Lavish astutely noted at the end of his tweet, the stock still trades at 61 PE. Once any of these multiple serious incidents escalate into something deadly, which is a matter of when, not if, it won't take trading there for long. I agree. Okay, so this is a essay from Zero Hedge. Going effectively, this here essay is going over the backstory of Gamergate 1 and Gamergate 2, the Sweet Baby Saga and stuff, entitled Leftist Consulting Firm Exposed as Hidden Hand Behind Wokeification of Video Games. And this is just going over everything we've covered so far in the Sweet Baby Incorporated saga. So I'm not going to repeat any of it and stuff, but I just figure I mention it here in so far to take away from this here, in that this is hitting the normie, like pretty much once our internet crap hits Zero Hedge and the websites like this here, it's gotten normie attention when it gets to this point and stuff. And that's why I'm bringing attention to it, is that the Sweet Baby Gamergate 2 Electric Boogaloo saga has hit the normie sphere, and by golly, it's going to be fun. So that's that. Ex-users blast establishment scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've never liked this guy. I've never liked Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've never understood why people like this guy. It's like, he's like Bill Nye. Yeah, Bill Nye is a goddamn communist cuck. There's no fucking difference with these people. For owning condo and climate change flood zone. Okay, so this here article I'm gonna pretty much go verbatim because it's really funny, and that this here just reinforces the concept that these assholes don't believe anything they say. Like they don't believe the shit that's coming out of their mouth. So, like, their words don't have any meaning. You have to look at their actions. And in this case, it's in terms of the climate death cult portion of it and stuff. In that, well, we'll get into it. Ex-user blasted establishment scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson for owning a multi-million condominium in an area that is projected to be underwater in the climate change model. In Florida, at 345 feet, Britton Hill is the highest elevation, the highest elevation in the United States. This makes Florida supremely susceptible to sea level rise during climate change, an objective truth even if you don't believe in climate change. Just saying, Tyson wrote on X Sunday morning. and then the fact checking came in. X users quickly pointed out that Tyson owns a 2.1 million second floor condo in Manhattan, an area that will be underwater in the scientists' own climate change model. Another ex user showed a climate change scam in Nantucket where the elite Democrats buy oceanfront mansions such as the Obamas, who recently dropped nearly 12 million on an oceanfront beach house. I can't wait till the snow to melt for all the snowmobiles to be put back in the mothball. God damn. Let's see. Same people who push global warming also believe you don't believe gender is on the spectrum, zero credibility. Yeah, you do. And by the way, these global warming libtards have been pushing misinformation and disinformation to scare the general public for decades. This is just a list of proclamations from the death cult going back all the way to the 60s of like, the world is ending, the world's ending, the world's ending, and just keep pushing back the dates. Like I commonly refer to the climate death cult as just as a death cult, and that's what it is because they just much like a regular doomsday cult. Whenever the apocalypse doesn't happen on the day they say it's going to happen, they always push it back. And like I shit, this has been going on long before I was born. Cough, Tyson. Uh, where's melting ice caps? Has it occurred to these elites who peddle climate misinformation that they're being laughed at? No, because they huff their own farts. So, yeah, TLDR, Neil deGrasse Tyson's trying to sell you bullshit, and he doesn't believe in it, so you shouldn't believe in him. Getting back to our favorite Caribbean country, Haiti. Haiti Prime Minister resigns amid ascent civil war, rumors of cannibalism. I think we're beyond rumors at this point. Haiti Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced Tuesday morning that he will resign after several weeks of chaos and what could be an unfolding low-scale civil war. Low scale, my ass. Oh, shit. As gangs fight for control, Henry said in a statement he will step down as prime minister immediately after transitional and presidential council is formed and an interim prime minister is named. The government I'm running cannot remain insensitive to the situation. There is no sacrifice that is too big for us, too big for our country. Henry said in a statement, adding, "The government I'm running will remove itself immediately after the installation of a council." Hours after this announcement, Caribbean leaders and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met in Jamaica to discuss the security situation in Haiti, including armed gangs raiding two of the country's largest prisons, burning police stations and government buildings, and even attacking the nation's main airport. Henry finds himself stuck in Puerto Rico this week, unable to return home due to armed gang attacks in Tucson. Louvetia International Airport. He continues by saying, I want to thank the Haitian people for the opportunity I've been granted. I'm asking all Haitians to remain calm and do everything they can for peace and stability to come back as fast as possible." Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. Haiti proving that indeed niggas is hungry. Yeah, yeah. All we need to do is just airlift them in some barbecue sauce, some charcoal, and just let the cannibals go crazy, and the problem will solve itself eventually. I first saw an iteration of this here on the red on the Reddit, and I was like, motherfucker, you can't be serious. And yes, they were actually indeed serious. Writer ridiculed for asking where are the black people in ancient Japan samurai show. The writer for lefty woke outlet Medium is facing ridicule for the penning of the article, complaining about the lack of black actors in a new TV show about samurai warriors in Japan in the year 1600. Oh boy, I need a liquid up for this one here because it's so fucking stupid. Okay. The show, produced by FX, is a remake of the popular Shogun series from 1980, which also featured no black actors. I was surprised. Because it's about ancient Japan. Don't you know? An Ironworks guide to the series states FX Shogun, based on James Clavell's best-selling novel, is set in Japan in the year 1600. At the dawn of the century-defining civil war, Lord Yoshi Tarigana is fighting for his life as his enemies in the Council of Regents unite against him when the mysterious European ship is found marooned in a nearby fishing village. There are European people in the series too, because Europeans traveled to Japan in boats at the time. For those who don't know about history, more likely it was the Dutch, because they were pretty cool with the Dutch when it came to selling them their guns. Japanese and Europeans, but no blacks. Medium writer and critical race theorist William Spivey cannot abide by that. Where are the black people in Shogun? Said idiot. He writes, the white characters appearing in the first episodes representing Portugal, Spain, England, and Holland could hardly be deemed heroic. However, the character John Blackthorne, now played by Cosmos Jarvis, is already a pivotal figure and will be a hero along with several Japanese characters. Oh no, the horror. I asked the question now that I naively didn't ask in 1980, where are the black people, he adds. In Africa, that's the short answer. But no, Spivey isn't done. He goes on to claim that there were absolutely were black people in Japan in the 1600s, and some of them were samurai warriors. I don't ask about out of a desire to see representation when it wasn't historically accurate. I inquire because there were black people in Japan in 1600 and before, though Japan could teach Florida a thing or two about rewriting history, he claims. Projection, much. Spivey continues, according to multiple sources, one of the early real-life shoguns, Sakakone no Tamura Amaro, was black, although denied by others. Yeah. It says right here why, like, yeah, there's consensus he was something other than pure Japanese, and he was considered descendant from the Ainu, darker skinned indigenous people in northern Japan who were subjected to forced assimilation and colonization. Yeah, he was dark. He was darker than the regular nips and stuff, but he wasn't black. He was black by comparison, but does not make him black. That's the distinction these assholes failed to notice. Not content with the unverifiable and inaccurate claim, he made up Japanese proverb and goes for samurai to be brave and must have a bit of black blood. Note Spivey's capitalization on the word black. This proverb, if it exists at all, which it likely doesn't, is not referencing to black people, but rather darkness of the soul. Respondents, including black people, point out that all this is nuts and yet another example of an insane fringe effort to blackify history, which is include baseless claims of ancient black Britons, Romans, scholars, Mesolithic hunter-gatherers, and the list goes on. As we've remember when we covered the Google AI Gemini, black Pope, black Nazis, black Vikings, shit like that. Twitter doing what Twitter does and raking them over the coals. So, again, stupid people being stupid. News at 11. That's most of my content at this point. Okay. I covered a while back that the National Health Service in the UK was banning and cutting funding to the tranny shit, which was a good thing. But apparently, this is not a good thing to exactly who you think. This is a moral panic. Trans activists furious that Britain's far right National Health Service banned puberty blockers for kids. Update. As one might expect, the transgender activists were furious at the National Health Service decision, with advocacy group Stonewall stating all trans young people deserve access to high quality, timely health care. The group went on to falsely claim that puberty blockers are reversible, as they are wont to do. For some, an important part of this care comes from the form puberty blockers, a reversible treatment that delays onset of puberty prescribed by expert endocrinologists, giving a young person extra time to evaluate the next steps. We are concerned that the National Health Service England will be putting new prescriptions on hold until research protocol is up and running in the end 2024. Yep, they're selling you bullshit. But they continue. As Modernity.news Steve Watson reports, trans activists also took to social media to complain that confused children will no longer have puberty blockers prescribed to them on the NHS, encouraging people to sue the far-right health service and go private instead, and claiming that cis kids will still get puberty blockers prescribed to them. How about we just don't give puberty blockers to kids at all? Just a thought. Twitter comments. As Deborah hinted Taylor in American Greatness, England's national. Okay, so this is the early part of the article talking about what we covered before of the health service and ending their little troon spree since they got mainstream and the pushback happened. Okay, yeah. So here's the Rachel Levine, transgender U.S. Assistant Secretary for Health, has repeatedly insisted that there is a consensus among medical professionals bullshit that gender affirming care is medically necessary, safe, and effective. Fuck off. By gender affirming care, Levine means cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and radical gender reassignment surgeries. Levine said there is no argument among medical professionals that minors' access to gender affirming care is important and valuable. Fuck off. The fact that hormonal treatments and puberty blockers have been linked to lower bone density, infertility in patients, Levine also has continued to promote them as gender affirming and life saving, even though it's complete and utter bullshit. They have to protect their bottom line, which is the misery of children. So why cunts like this are fucking evil demons. Okay, I like this Babylon Bee thing. So the Babylon Bee summed up things in the usual succinct manner. Millions of British kids forced to live normal, happy lives after UK bans puberty blockers. Oh god. Next on chopping block is the use of cross-sex hormones and minors questioning their sex. The Health and Equalities Act Amendment Bill seeks to regulate access to body-altering drugs, but privately and on the National Health Service will receive a second reading on Friday, so hopefully that goes through. Alright, next. Okay, this one gave me a chuckle. This one's funny. Okay. You know whoever wrote this article was waiting for this. Lemon party's over. Musk cancels Don Lemon after CNN but on social media interview. Fired CNN propagandist Don Lemon says Elon Musk has canceled partnership I had with X. He informed me his decision hours after an interview conducted with him on Friday. All right, for those of you who don't know, Don Lemon is a piece of shit race baiting communist from CNN who got laid off because he's fucking useless and no one listens to him because, who fucking watches TV anymore? But besides the point. The fact that he's a race baiting, mouthpiece for, the powers that be and stuff. So of course his regular prime time slot, he got pushed back to like the morning slot, and then he got laid off of that there because he was harassing women. I assure you not, we've covered this in the past, but it looks like he was supposed to have like kind of like what Tucker Carlson has, what was going to be like a business deal with Twitter for like a new show and stuff. And it looks like he had an interview with Elon Musk, and Musk was just like, yeah, you're just going to be peddling your same shit. And he was like, yeah, thank you, but no thank you. The interview with Musk is slated to be a debut episode of Don Lemon Show. According to Lemon, the interview will now run as planned on YouTube, where the future episodes will be released. But Musk and X responded to Lemon's post. X is a platform that champions free. This is the important bit. X's platform champions free speech, and we're proud to provide an open environment for diverse voices and perspectives. The company X business account said, adding Lemon is welcome to publish its content on X without censorship, but like any enterprise, we reserve the right to make decisions about our business partners, and after careful consideration, X decided not to enter a commercial partnership with the show. When asked to elaborate, Musk said Lemon's approach is basically just CNN, but on social media, which doesn't work as evidenced by the fact that CNN is dying. I agree. Instead of it being the real Don Lemon, it was really just Jeff Zucker talking through Don, so lacked authenticity, Musk added. Oh my god. Oh god. Look, this lemon party has been officially pooped. Oh, fuck off. Oh god. You can't make this shit up. Okay, back to infuriating. Wow. Okay, infuriating that it happened, but it had a positive outcome. Philly Alphabet Soup Community Center loses $1 million in federal funds due to sex party allegations. An Alphabet Soup Community Center in Philadelphia is losing more than $1 million in federal grants after being accused of hosting sex parties, according to 6ABC. Chris Bartlett, executive director of William Way Center, said, "We're disappointed. We're outraged. We provide safe space for hundreds of groups a year." He added, "Of those parties, it was pointed out by libs of TikTok on X that the aviary, which 6ABC says hosts kink parties." Gil Gil Kanan, co-founder of the aviary, offered up this riveting defense. Almost anything could be a kink. A lot of people are into various forms of spanking. Not helping your case there, Chief. Not helping. We always have an educational space set up. Then we have an open play space where you can try out a whole bunch of different things. You continued. You have benches. You can put people. Oh my fucking god! You have benches. You can put people over for spanking. You have places where you can tie people up and suspend them. But we also have a room that's like a blanket forts and coloring books. Okay, yeah. So you have your BDSM dungeon on one side, and then you have like the kids the kids play place on the other. Fuck off! Oh my god, they're not helping themselves. They're really not. There is no sex at the aviary. It's not only against venues rules, bull fucking shit, but also against my insurance company's rules, and it's not a party like that. Cans added. See, things are totally normal down at the old community center. What was everyone getting so worked up for? The choice was either to pull it or watch it get stripped out, attacked by Republicans, and ultimately killed Senator Fetterman. Oh yeah, I forgot this is Fetterman's neck of the woods. Yeah, good old recovered stroke patient cracking down on the degenerate shit. Oh, good. That'll never stop being funny to me that ever since he got rehab from his stroke and stuff, he magically became a lot more conservative. Funny how that works. Even Democratic Senator Bob Casey said consulting adults have a right to do whatever they want in their free time, but these types of appropriations projects warrant at the highest level of scrutiny on behalf of the taxpayers. I certainly fucking hope so. You waste taxpayer money and everything else. If they didn't lie about us, they'd lie about something else. Somebody else, Canan concluded. Regardless, the center's website said these challenging times, William Way Alphabet Soup Community Center and what it represents has evolved to meet the needs and diversity of the diverse people it serves. It continues, we want all Alphabet Soup people to feel safe, connected, and empowered. We strive to be a community center whose staff management and board reflect the vibrant and richly diverse communities we serve. Under its wellness programs, we swear we're not making this up. I gotta prepare myself. This one's okay. The center says it's also hosting a series of anti-capitalist financial planning workshops hosted by someone called River Nice, they, them, described as an anti-capitalist financial planner, meaning they acknowledge the harms of white supremacist patriarchal capitalism and help queer individuals and families use their money to get as close to their ideal life as possible. Oh, God. These are difficult people to crack the whip on. They'll just get off to it. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, God. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. Microphone. Spazzing out the camera. Okay. I covered the lead up to this one here before. So Riley Gaines explains how women's sports are rigged to promote the trans agenda. So this is kind of like a rehash of stuff I've covered in the past. So the long story short, Riley Gaines is this swimming chick who had to compete against a man, and she raised a stink about it and got pushed back from the usual suspects and stuff. And she's been on a crusade thus far on saying like, look, keep men out of women's sports. That's all it comes down to. It keep men out of women's sports because it's not fair. And you know, basic biology and making women second class in their own safe spaces. Recent interview with Joe Rogan podcast, Gaines relayed some interesting information on the inner workings of the NCAA and a subversive scheme surrounding trans athletes. Not only were women participants especially strong armed by colleagues and officials to quietly going along with the program, they were also concerned that the propaganda effort competition ceremonies were rigged as vehicles for promoting trans athletes over everyone else. The bottom line, the competitions didn't matter. The real women and their achievements didn't matter. The only thing that mattered to the officials were the photo ops dudes pretending to be chicks, posing with awards and gushing with corporate media. The agenda took precedence. And this is shit we've seen over the years and stuff. But again, like I said, the pushback has started and it's going to be fucking vicious and stuff. And this is just her doing another tour to bring awareness to this here stuff. And of course, Joe Rogan, he can't get a bigger audience than that. So, but again, this is shit people should have heard already. So there's that. Ugh. Okay, we're going to come back to Boeing because things that this here like the Epstein treatment of the whistleblower was interesting, but this here is just like you're not fooling anyone at this point kind of level. Boeing overwrote camera footage of work on Mac's jet door that blew out cannot identify employee who worked on it. Just when you thought it couldn't get any more bizarre or surreal, the Boeing story did just that. As previously reported, the aerospace giant has been under regulatory scrutiny following a string of safety-related incidents since the beginning of the year, really since 2019 when two of his 737 Maxes fell out of the sky like overpriced deadly paperweight, but let's just skip to the latest snafu. Starting with the door blowing off in the flight and continuing with multiple other incidents, including the cracked cockpit window, bolts missing on a wing, various wheels falling off during takeoff, and at least 2 incidents and several engine fires and failures. And as the pressure ratchets up on Boeing, it's become increasingly obvious that the management is running the same type of interference that did during the infamous MCAS scandal, ensuring the cover-up attempt which cost former CEO Millenberg his job. Sure enough, on Wednesday, we learned that Boeing, in pure coincidence that Jeffrey Epstein would approve of, overwrote, i.e., deleted, security footage showing the work being done on a door that blew out on Alaska Airlines MAX jet in January. Ah. Yeah, we magically lost the information. Oopsie doodle. Our bad. It's not just the footage, however. NTS, National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Homendy said it's unclear who performed the work to open, reinstall, and close the door plug on the aircraft on the accident aircraft. Boeing is unable to find records documenting this work. Homendy's letter, she writes that despite requests to Boeing and interviews with Renton, Washington factory where the panel was removed, the identity of the crew member who worked on the panel remains unknown and would be unable to provide a statement or interview to the National Transportation Safety Board due to medical issues. That's weird. Yeah, so like the highlight portions, like unable to find a records documenting his work, footage was overwritten, and unable to provide a statement or interview to the National Transportation Safety Board due to medical issues. It's like, okay, so you know who the guy is and he's sick and he can't come. Is that what we're getting? Buddy has a cough and he can't come in and say like, okay, yeah, it was me. I fucked up on this door. Sending mixed messages here, Boeing. It gets crazier. In her letter, the National Transportation Safety Board Chair, Jennifer, said she directly appealed to Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun for information on who worked on the faulty door plug, expressing frustration over Boeing's claim that missing records and security footage. Even then, Boeing merely stonewalled and said it was unable to provide information and maintained that Boeing has no records on the work being performed. So they are admitting they're a bunch of incompetents by not providing this information. This is not the win you think it is, Boeing. Finally, the epic culmination, at least so far, of the shitstorm that has engulfed Boeing. We know yesterday that the key whistleblower, former quality control manager at the company who raised concern about the firm's production standards, was found dead from an apparent suicide. And we all know how we feel, and we all know how I feel about that there speculation. So I have a feeling Boeing's going to continue being a little shit stain. And again, I mildly do subscribe to the concept that maybe someone's trying to bring down Boeing from the inside to devalue it for a buyout. But that's just idle speculation. Okay. Back to proper clown world. Burn it all down. Radical Maryland equity official promotes racial revolution. Because this is all they know. In a crime-ridden metro area just north of Washington, D.C., dominated by radical progressives, it comes as no surprise that the mayor, a recently appointed racial equity leader who openly supports violence and advocates for a revolution. Scroll, damn you. Fox News reports that Kaylee Elise Carter, head of College Park, Maryland's Racial Equity Department, which aims to eliminate systemic racism in its local government, supports black liberation through revolutionary. Yep. I have my soundboard. We're doing this properly. Motherfucker, play. Okay. Relaunch. Goddamn, I will use this joke as many times as I please, and you will fucking work. God damn it. There we go. Today I co-hosted an occupied space with dozens of people who have committed their lives, businesses, and money to black liberation. On all days, every day, each day, light workers already been planning for how we will eat and live and grow. Oh god. Yeah, so this communist cunt wants to justify her job by like liberating the darkies against the mighty whitey. Yeah, the usual business, the usual shit and stuff. It's just like so. It's all so fucking tiring, man. It just doesn't fucking stop. It just doesn't fucking stop. Yet this is another progressive radical the FBI will ignore, as they're more concerned with Catholics and elderly MAGA folks in real America. I agree. Ooh. I don't have this one lined up, so I'm going to put that there aside for afterwards. Oh no, it's still the one to vote. And that actually has voted. Okay. False alarm. Okay. Moving to the next one. Okay, this one's a little funny. Okay, I'm gonna take that back. This one's very funny. This one's a lot of funny. Saudi AI robot gropes female reporter. Footage of an autonomous robot developed in Saudi Arabia has gone viral because it appears to grope a female reporter. The robot revolution, going for that ass. Going for that ass. The incident took place at a tech conference, the D-Fest in Riyadh. I can never remember how to pronounce that. Riyadh. Which was advertised as a premier meeting place for all global artificial intelligence ecosystem. As reporter Raya Kassim was introducing a segment to the camera. The robot, called Muhammad, of course they call it fucking Muhammad, appeared to grab her ass, prompting Kassam to shoot it a dirty look and gestured for it to stop. We have to watch this because it's too fucking funny. Oh, God. The Metro reports that the droid developed by robotics firm QSS is fully autonomous and is operating independently without direct human control, according to the designers. The company claimed they had proactively informed all attendees, including reporters, to maintain a safe distance from the robot during its demonstration. In a statement, QSS said, "We have already conducted a thorough review of the footage and the circumstances surrounding the incident, and there was no deviations from the expected behavior from Mohammed." I'm going to repeat that because that's very important. And the circumstances surrounding the incident, there was no deviations from the expected behavior of Muhammad. This was expected. They expected this happening, okay? They expected it fucking to happen. However, we will take additional measures to prevent anyone getting close to a robot within its area of movement. Just wondering how Muhammad will react to Sophia. Respondents in the next set of field days. Some of these comments are funny. I'm going to actually read them this time. Name and action of the robot. Yep. Saudi Arabia officially winning the AI race. An amazing demonstration of a robot acting just like a Saudi prince. So, just like the original. Got it. Show me on the human where the robot touched you. True to his name. Oh, God. Oh, I needed that. Okay. Gonna loop back to some gaming. I'm gonna loop back and end on some gaming news. I got a couple of them lined up. Okay, so this one's important. This one's important to me because, again, D&D Magic. Hasbro CEO optimistic about AI and Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering's future. Future Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering content could come from artificial intelligence. Spoiler alert, it already does. If the bets of Hasbro CEO are right. In a recent interview with Chris Cox, and for those who don't know, the CEO of Hasbro is named Cox. The jokes write themselves. I can't do it justice. Rudy has been making fun of his name for years at this point. Reveals that the Hasbro CEO has high hopes for artificial intelligence and content creation, according to a March 1st interview by VentureBeat. Cox foresees a future where AI can generate content and game scenarios for Hasbro major IPs, including Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Cox cites a few experiments Hasbro have already conducted with AI in the interview. These includes virtual Ouija board. Yes, those are Hasbro property. How people don't know Ouija is owned by Hasbro, I'll never understand. And a free online version of Trivial Pursuit with AI-generated questions. That last one apparently boosted the original trivia board game sale by 30%. Citation needed. Cox radiates excitement, but it seems the tabletop gaming community is much more skeptical for artificial intelligence. Hasbro subsidiary Wizards of the Coast already apologized twice for using AI art in content, once in Dungeons & Dragons book and once in the Magic the Gathering ad, after promising to limit the use of AI. For those of you who don't know, anything that comes out of these guys' mouth is to be treated with suspicion. As we covered at the start of this year's stream with the the historical revisionism of the dirty white D&D creators and stuff. That's the people we're talking about in this instance and stuff. And particularly in terms of Magic the Gathering and stuff, these guys are always lying out of their assholes when it comes to like, oh, we're not going to circumvent the like the reserve list, and we're not going to use AI art, and the Sweet Baby Incorporated writing for like their storylines and shit like that. There, these are assholes all the way through. Several smaller tabletop RPG publishers banned AI content from their products, as they should, claiming they wish to protect the livelihoods of human creators. Additionally, RPG community has prohibited its use of the Dungeon Masters Guild, one of the largest online Dungeon Dragon marketplaces. Many fans have become hyper-vigilant in their search for AI, to the point that false accusations prompted Wizards to deny the use of upcoming D&D in the up-and-coming D&D Player's Handbook. Again, they're probably lying, and they probably do use AI art and shit like that already and stuff. It's just they only apologize in the minute when they get caught, and they always get caught. And again, this is gonna happen again and again and again and again because they don't fucking learn. They know better than the rest of us. Shit we've seen before. Despite concerns from the community, those in charge seem more open to AI. Head Magic the Gathering designer Mark Rosewater, who, for those who don't know, is a fucking cuck, a lying asshole, and has ruined the game, previously said he believed the technology would one day be used as a design tool in the trading card game. For example, this seems to be Echo Cox dream about AI content. Hasbro CEO is conscious of the company's responsibilities, though. In the VentureBeat interview, he repeats the word respect several times. These experiments apparently must respect creators and their ownership of work, as well as the consumers of the content, young and old. The company's experiment with AI seems to be in very early research. Bullshit. They've already rolled it out and development stages. But Cox says we will see more ideas from Hasbro about how to incorporate AI into digital and physical games in the future. With trust in Wizards of the Coast at a major low after the open gaming license controversy and Hasbro layoffs last year, we're wondering how D&D and Magic the Gathering communities will receive the news. For long story short, for those of you that don't follow tabletop news, and I mentioned this in the previous mentioned article. The open gaming license is the original framework for the Dungeons and Dragons since like third edition and stuff, where you're free to use the system and make your own shit and stuff, and that's the open game license and stuff. But what they've done is they tried to pull a Blizzard saying, look, if you use our system and stuff, everything you make we own. And they tried to do that there with their latest revision of the gaming license and stuff. But people read, again, this is you're trying to the funny thing about the open game license snafu was you're trying to pass law, like a law revision to a bunch of nerds who try to game the system by reading the rule books. Okay, you're trying to pull a fast one on autist. It was never going to fly, and it died a swift death. But they're going to try to push that shit when no one's looking. The downside is that they got caught. They're sorry they got caught last time, and it's going to happen again. And it's going to be the same thing here with the AI stuff. They got caught before. They're going to get caught again, and they'll only be sorry when they get caught. So that's that. So this one here is tying back to one of the earlier articles, how mentioning that the federal government is using intermediary bodies like the take that whatever health and safety board thingy and stuff, where they put taxpayer money and get like a third party to say like, oh, we're not suppressing the American people and entertainment and stuff. Someone else is doing it, a private firm's doing it, even though we're paying them with taxpayer money. And this is all comes back to this, which is the feds are coming for extremist gamers. The Department of Homeland Security and FBI are in dialogue with Roblox, Discord, and Reddit and others to thought crime this shit. So this is like this is going to be the big closing story, but this is really important and what I kind of was leading on to with the opening articles. Game companies are coordinating with FBI and Department of Homeland Security to root out so-called domestic violent extremist content, according to a new government report, noting that mechanisms have been established with social media companies to police extremism. That's it, like this is why I mentioned in Proctor's Discord server, saying that Elon Musk telling the Glowies to fuck off and get a warrant for the information. This is the main reason why they're pissed off with him and stuff, because Twitter was one of the temples of their psyops, along with Facebook and everything else, of controlling the narratives and harvesting data and stuff for the quote unquote right wing white extremists and all that shit and all that bullshit. Noting that mechanisms have been established with social media companies to police extremism, the report recommends that national security agencies establish new and similar processes with the vast gaming industry. The exact nature of the cooperation between the federal agencies and video game companies, which have not been previously reported, is detailed in a new Government Accountability Office report. And some screen caps have been floating around on the cafeteria channel and Proctor's server and stuff. And this is the report that those screen caps are coming from, and why we were uh, joking earlier about the ADL, and ADL contribute to that report among other things, and that's a report we're talking about. The report draws on interviews conducted with 5 gaming and social media companies, including Roblox, an online gaming platform, Discord, a social media app commonly used by gamers, Reddit, as well as game publisher and social media company, asked about the GAO to remain anonymous. The Intercept reached out to companies identified by a GAO report for comment, but none responded. On the record at the time of publication, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Department of Homeland Security have mechanisms to share and receive domestic violent extremist threat-related information with social media and gaming companies, the GAO says. The report reveals that the Department of Homeland Security Intelligence Office meets with gaming companies and that the companies can use these meetings to share information with the INADH Intelligence Office about the online activities promoting domestic violent extremism or simply activities that violate companies' terms of service. So yeah, yelling nigger at the people in Call of Duty, literally, by the emission of this, literally yelling kill yourself nigger, puts you on the literal government's watch list. Okay, all right, that's what this shit is. Through its 56 field offices, which I might add is more than the number of states in the Union, and hundreds of resident agencies' subordinate field offices, the FBI receives tips from gaming companies of potential law-breaking and extremist views for further investigation. The FBI also conducts briefings to gaming companies on purported threats. The GAO warns that the FBI and DHS lack an overarching strategy to bring its work with gaming companies in line with broader agency missions. Without a strategy or goals, the agency may not be fully aware of how effective their communications are with companies or how effective their information sharing mechanisms serve the agency's overall missions, the GAO says. The report ends with a recommendation to both agencies develop such a strategy, a recommendation that the Department of Homeland Security concurred with, providing an estimated completion date of June 28th of this year. All I think of is the awful track record of the FBI when it comes to the identifying extremism. Hassan Piker, a popular Twitch streamer who often, of course, it's fucking Piker, who often streams while playing video games under handle Hassan Abi, says of the mechanisms they're much better at finding vulnerable teenagers with mental disabilities to take advantage of. GAO's investigation, which covers September 2022 to January 2024, was undertaken at the request of House Homeland Security Committee, which asked the government auditor to examine domestic violent extremist use of gaming platforms and social media. While there is no federal law that criminalizes domestic violent extremism as a category of crime yet, since 2019, the U.S. government has employed 5 domestic terrorism threat categories. These are identified by the FBI and Department of Homeland Security as racial, ethnically motivated extremism, anti-government, anti-authority violent extremism, animal rights or environmental violent extremism, abortion-related violent extremism, and all other domestic threats. The GAO study also follows pressure from Congress that 2 top gaming companies to crack down on extremist content. Last March, Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Dick Durbin, Democrat, Illinois, sent a letter to gaming companies Valve, Activision Blizzard, Epic Games, Riot Games, Roblox Corp., and Take-Two Interactive, demanding that they take action to police gamers. Police the filthy racist gamers and those filthy terrorist gamers. Unlike more traditional social media companies, which in recent years have developed public-facing policies addressing extremism, create trust and public safety teams, read censorship boards, and release transparency reports, online gaming platforms generally do not utilize these tools, Durbin wrote in a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland. In the letter, Durbin requested a briefing with the Justice Department on what channels exist for the Department of Justice and online video game industry to communicate and coordinate on the threat of online video game by extremists and other malicious actors. The federal government's interest in combating extremism has risen sharply following the January storming of the Capitol. Oh, fuck off. His first full day, President Joe Biden directed his national security team to conduct a comprehensive review of federal efforts to fight domestic terrorism, which the White House has deemed, and I quote, the most urgent terrorism threat facing the United States. Fuck off. Add the fuck off part. Greater than foreign terrorist groups like the Islamic State group, Biden's directive resulted in the first ever national strategy for fighting domestic terrorism released by the White House in June 2021. The strategy mentions online gaming platforms as the place where recruiting and mobilizing individuals for domestic terrorism occurs. Those filthy gamers. Those filthy radical gamers. According to the National Strategy and Intelligence Community, assessed that the extremists emboldened by events like January 6 pose an elevated threat to the homeland, and that the DVE, domestic violent extremist attackers, often radicalize independently by consuming violent extremist material online and mobilize without direction from a violent extremist organization, making detection and disruption difficult. The federal government says that sharing information with gaming and social media companies is another avenue to identify and combat extremism. The government also recognized that there is constitutional and legal questions about Americans' free speech rights. Spoiler alert, you no longer have them. It was good while it lasted. According to the GAO report, both FBI and DHS indicated that they are proceeding with caution in light of federal litigation on such matters, including one case on its way to the Supreme Court. In response to a 2020 lawsuit brought by Attorney General in Missouri and Louisiana, the federal judge last year prohibited FBI, DHS, and other federal agencies from communicating with social media companies to fight what they consider misinformation. Federal law enforcement and intelligence have long focused on gaming as an avenue for both radicalization and as a backdoor platform for extremists to communicate. A 2019 internal intelligence assessment jointly produced by the FBI, DHS, and Joint Special Operations Command and the National Counterterrorism Center obtained by The Intercept warns that the violent extremists could exploit functionality of popular online gaming platforms and applications. The assessment lists half a dozen U.S. owned gaming platforms that identifies as popular, including Blizzard Entertainment's Battle.net, Fortnite, PlayStation, Xbox Live, Steam, and Roblox. We must stop glorification of violence in our society. Oh, fuck off and eat our Sarkeesian. I mean, President Donald Trump said in 2019 after a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. This includes gruesome video games that are now commonplace. Again, I don't know why people went to bat for Trump, because Trump is like everyone else. He's a fucking dumbass boomer who will blame what the kids are playing, what the kids are doing. Okay, this wasn't Biden. This was Trump. This wasn't Hillary Clinton. This was Trump. All right, Cheeto Jesus is not perfect. The guy report cites over a dozen expert participants in their survey, including 3 from the Anti-Defamation League, the ADF, which is what we were making fun of earlier, and as well as the Pentagon-funded RAND Corporation and several academic institutions. The Anti-Defamation League has testified to Congress multiple times about the extremist use of gaming platforms. In 2019, the ADL's then Senior Vice President of International Affairs, Sharon Rosen, was asked by Representative Ted Deutsch, Democrat Florida, if game platforms are monitored and if there's a way AI can be employed to identify those sort of conversations, aka everything's wiretapped, even your games. They better watch out. The Roseanne replied, the game platforms need to be better regulated, and we all know how that's going to turn out. Damn, he'll never tweet Gamergate now. He was never going to tweet out Gamergate and stuff, because as far as Trump was always concerned and stuff, those damn video games are too violent for the kiddies and stuff. You know, that was always going to be the case. So I don't know what the fuck Sargon, like I remember that fucking stream. I remember the goddamn stream when it happened of Sargon saying, all we have to do is get Donald Trump to tweet about Gamergate and stuff. I remember that fucking stream. And that was horseshit then. That was the reason why everyone laughed at Sargon for that stupid comment, because Trump was never going to do that, because to Trump, video games was always the bad thing, because he's a fucking dumbass boomer. Simple as. I don't get it. I'm kind of curious to see if Proctor's still going. Nope. Nope, he finished. Okay. Oh my god, I almost made it 3 hours. Okay, I'm done. That was long. I read a lot of articles verbatim and stuff, but a lot of them were kind of, to me personally, important. You know, like the gaming ones, the gaming government ones, because that's all it's leading up to is that, you know, they want to control everything, including the games and stuff. So I don't know, remain vigilant, I guess. But fuck them. Anyway, thanks for coming. Take it easy. Later.